going to hit new levels for all of the people involved. That means that the dude is probably already dead. Brokenshard will shortly be joining him, and I'll be racked with guilt and have to end my life. Sam just has a hangover. Lucky prick. Anyway, we are going to talk about League of Legends, and you can see we've got, as a guest, we have got Flyy, the legendary roccat manager. It's his birthday today, people. So I want everybody in the chat to spam happy birthday. Not that little thing with the fucking upturned finger. Something nice for Tommy. But how you been doing? I know you've been drinking tonight, brother.
I've started a little bit, but nothing special. I need to be at your show, you know. I need to be serious. I need to be good. I need to be representative. You see, Rocket?
I know how it is. I know how it is. I'm pretty sure they'll let you off having a birthday drink, though. I'm having one for you. There you go. Happy birthday, brother. Ram, my loyal and faithful co-host, how are you doing? We were enjoying your rendition of various Metallica songs we couldn't identify in the pre-show.
Oh, come on. You were able to identify them. Don't be a dick, Richard. I'm good, I guess. I've started getting a little bit more busy and shit, but mostly just good. I just like to comment on how black Pr0lly looks. I guess he's getting a lot of that German sun. It's a little bit
and you can probably tell lurking down in the bottom, there is a window for Pr0lly. He's going to turn up at some point, we're reliably informed, but we just don't know when that'll be. We didn't want to delay the show any longer. We're having a bad time with guests at the moment. And, you know, it's like I say, because I'm not really a League of Legends personality, people just, you know, they don't want to spare me their time. I'm not important enough. So that's how it is. But let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing with roccat, because you surprised me quite a bit today when I was talking about, oh, you know, I want to get some guests on and how should we do it? And you said, well, you know, I could ask, you know, Pr0lly, or I could ask some of the guys from SK. And I was like, yeah, well, I know those guys too. And you were like, no, but I'm in the office with them at the moment. And apparently you're all in one building. So what the fuck is going on?
Well, pretty much, you know, last year when Alliance started talking about having apartments and all the offices, they were actually one of the teams that was caught up on that idea. Like, we discussed it a couple of times, me with roccat and the other teams, actually, to have apartments where the players actually live, spend their own time, play solo queue at home, stream, etc. And then you have a completely separated building for the streaming, and Jankos is actually coming. And so at the end, we had a really good option with Case King to be a couple of teams at the same place. They were kind enough to provide us with an office space from their, literally next to their 10,000 square meters warehouse. We're like 100 meters from it, and we have offices. It's us, H2K, and SK over here. We have separate rooms with really good internet, really good people working around us. We're going to be seeing more and more coming from our side all together and everything. So, yeah.
So how has the kind of, because it's like a group boot camp setup you've got. I was talking to Pr0lly a little bit, and he said you guys were all kind of, you had 7-hour block of scrims. I mean, just look at this. Like, they actually look like twins. I can't tell them apart.
No, they look different. They look different.
It's quite fine. I'm kidding.
Oh shit! Is that Vander?
Hello, yes, that's Vander, and that's Jankos. Yeah. Of course, most of you already know it.
Or the other way around. We're not too sure.
It's like, it's not necessarily a boot camp because it's more of a permanent thing, right? Like, this is something that you're going to permanently be doing for the entire split.
I hope it's going to be for the entire year, not for the entire split.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we actually have the office permanently. We're living close by, like 10 minutes walking distance from this place. Kiddos. Yeah, we live really close by this place. So actually, every single day we wake up, we go gym, or we do whatever we need to, and then we go to the office where we actually work. So that's the main idea: separating personal and living from workspace, and actually showing the players that they're here to do a job, not to have fun and just enjoy the time being in the LCS.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
talk about that, like, because that was a huge motivation for a lot of teams looking into the option of having separate office spaces from living. I know it's kind of been early, but have you already seen an improvement? Because I think that like every team should do that. You should never be working where you sleep, in that type of the. If you I was to say something like that.
I could say I can see improvement, even though it's really, really early to say it's a big one or it's a really noticeable one. But the simple thing is, you don't wake up. Usually, when we had the gaming houses and we had the floor above we sleep, the floor underneath we go and play. Then you have people not showering when they come. They annoy the people around them, or waking up 5 minutes before scrims to just go on. Right now, you need to wake up, shower, go outside, eat breakfast, and then come to the office. Which the thing itself, it pushes you to be a little bit more serious in the office, which with those kids sometimes doesn't happen. But yeah, it's the regiment itself, it's different, but if it changes the team, it's too early to tell. I think it's like the idea is to change it. I think long term it's going to be really good, but still we need to see how it's going to work. And especially we're first week over here, we haven't still really set up in the apartments. We're still waiting for connection to the apartments. We're still building part of the furniture, etc., etc. So it's early to say, but the idea is to have the big improvement over living and working at the same place.
So here's what I got to ask you. Isn't it going to be strange as the season kind of wears on? Because obviously you guys, you're all LCS teams. You're all, in my opinion, going to be competing for perhaps a similar standing in the league. I think I'm very interested to hear about how SK are doing in particular, which I'll ask you in a moment. But isn't it going to get strange as the season wears on? All you guys being in such a close proximity, because how are you going to hide shit from each other?
Well, to be honest, we have a really big rooms in the office. So most of the times when we come over here, we actually spend at our room. We have everything inside, so we don't really need to go out and interfere with the other teams. And everyone has their private space in the office, so it's not that big of a deal being at the same place. But also, you have the plus in which you have the three teams together, which means different players can socialize etc. with each other. And for my team, that's really good because we're switching from a Polish speaking team to a completely English speaking team, which is
Yeah.
going to help them with their communication, their in general, all the talking and everything is going to be the learning process, the getting used to process is a lot easier and a lot faster when you have more English speaking people around you.
So I got to ask as well, dude, because like last time you were on the show, we were saying, yeah, but NukeDuck's gonna join roccat, isn't he? And you were going, I don't know, I don't know. We were like, yeah, but he is though. Don't know, I don't know, right? But he is though, and
I
he
was
did
just
though.
smiling back then.
Yeah, exactly. And now you've got your man. So how's he been settling into the team? Is he as impressive and doing the business in the way that you thought he would?
Yes, actually, he's even better than I expected.
Really?
Not only skill wise, but in general behavior, how he accepts criticism, how like when you talk with a player, usually he's like trying to be funny, to move from the serious subject and everything. NukeDuck actually listens to you and he accepts criticism. He accepts what he needs to is that broken then? No, not even close.
Just ignore the picture.
Like,
Are you are you sure?
yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay, that's inside joke. Brokenshard is trying to be
It,
funny.
it's not an
That
inside.
doesn't work for him.
It's not an inside joke. It's a legitimate concern because that's a problem. Should I bring it up to the stream?
Yeah, bring it on. We haven't scrimmed SK this year.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I was laughing at the Travis and Double Lift donut picture we've added to the stream. There's a reason for that. It's better than looking at a black space, just about. But also,
I just saw that. Yeah.
when you're watching the VOD, it'll just be nice for Travis to get on the front page again, I think. So
This show would be a lot better if Travis hosted it. I'm just gonna put that up there.
Yeah, well, everyone says that. There's that one dude who says in all my videos, if Thorin did this, it would have been good. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I love Travis, man.
We don't
I
have
love
to
him.
talk
I
about it.
miss him
I have
really.
this fucking video.
I aim one day to be that donut. So anyway, let's talk about this thing that Brokenshard brought up, which is I'll just read it in the chat. Well, in fact, no, Ram, your words, man. You fucking say it.
I heard that from a certain bird that Nuke was underperforming in scrims. Can you confirm this?
I cannot because it's simply not true. It's
Okay.
not even close to being true. I don't know what your sources are, but I'm not gonna flame them on stream. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna smile, with my smile, and NukeDuck is a really, really good player. I would say he's the best mid laner in Europe right now.
I have him listed. I have him listed as the best mid laner in Europe. I also have him on my fantasy teams. So you better be fucking sure about this.
I never got to pick first. Every single time in a fantasy league, he got picked up first.
We're gonna do a first blood draft. Like we're waiting for the dude, and we're all gonna do one, and then we're gonna bring it up at various points on the show. When we do our draft, we'll get you in for that, man. But yeah, just in case it wasn't clear what Ram was talking about, Ram was alluding to the fact that other players had maybe been outperforming NukeDuck in scrims. In particular, the mention was that Fox had been doing very well for SK. Thomas is kind of
no. It's no way you can say Fox has shot on NukeDuck or anything else like that, because in 2015 we haven't even scrimmed SK because we played them first match in the LCS. So I don't know who told you that, but it's a freaking bullshit. Straight on bullshit.
But I also heard that Fox was performing way better in the past few days in scrims. Not only that Fox was performing better, but the entirety of SK was performing better. And they are looking incredibly scary for the next week.
I don't know. It doesn't matter what happens in scrims, even though our scrims are going quite good, I would say. It doesn't matter what happens in scrims. It's all about how you play in the LCS. And we've seen a lot of players before playing amazingly good in scrims, being super good in scrims, and then just underperforming. But to be honest, for SK, I don't know how they've been performing.
You have to understand, you're right. Scrims aren't everything, but to say that scrims don't matter is just simply not true. They're not necessarily the most accurate representation of offline performance, but they are the closest representation of your actual performance that you could possibly get as a player.
Nope. I cannot agree with that. As a player, yeah, maybe, and from certain times, but there's a lot of the players that actually don't take scrims as serious. And okay, in our case, it's not about getting them serious. It's about a lot of the players are actually testing their limits in scrims. They're pushing to the maximum. They're taking risky one-on-ones they're not going to get in the LCS matches. They're trying out the maximum they can push a certain champion to, etc., etc. So I wouldn't say scrims matter that much. I personally prefer my team losing more scrims. It makes us discuss more stuff. It makes us clear out our mistakes. It makes us keep down on the ground, not to get sky high egos in the air that we're super good, we're unbeatable, etc. I prefer to have a balance of winning that can keep our confidence up enough, but at the same time to have some losing to keep us down on the ground steady and to know exactly where we are and to be able to improve.
Okay, dude, listen. I was on Gamers too. I'm all about losing scrims, right? But saying that you'd rather lose scrims is not necessarily the right way to think. I know it's not what you mean, but there's such a wrong idea behind how people look at scrims that you can't say that a team that has literally gone undefeated in scrims. I'm not saying that SK have gone undefeated in scrims. I'm just saying if a team for an entire week practicing a specific strategy or multiple specific strategies throughout a week goes undefeated in scrims, you can't tell me that means nothing.
Alliance did it. Alliance did it last year. First weeks. We've seen it. They were destroying every single team, including us. We had no wins against Alliance in the beginning. We stopped scrimming at some point Alliance because there was no point to scrim them. Because they were destroying everyone in scrims.
If you were going on scrims, Ram, and Thomas will verify this, Shook was like one of the best junglers in the world in scrims. He was like single-handedly carrying games, and you saw a very different player when it came to the LCS. I mean, I know firsthand what people were telling me about the scrims was that Shook was a fucking god.
I didn't see that Shook in scrims when we scrimmed him on CW. I saw him goof around for like the first part of the early game. Yeah, he still played well, played better than me, but like I didn't think he single-handedly carried games.
I was gonna. That's not much of a compliment, though, is it?
Wait.
Yeah, it's not that much.
Bronze shard. So.
The time we're talking about, you were still in NA with Complexity.
Okay, this was a long time ago then.
That's January last year. Spring split. The moment they went 0-7 or something like that in the split, they were destroying everyone.
0-8. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, they were being talked about. They were the super team. They were the people that everyone expected to go into the LCS and destroy everyone because no one could take wins out of them in scrims. And for me, like, scrims matters, but teams play completely different in scrims and in LCS. The style they play and how risky they play, the chances they take and everything is completely different. LCS and scrims.
Also, as well, though, one of the things you guys aren't bringing up is, my understanding was in scrims, sometimes you try team compositions to look at synergy, to see if things work, and ultimately, if they don't, you have no intention of bringing them to the LCS table. So sometimes the kind of team compositions you put together, they're not necessarily the optimum, team that you would want to field in an LCS game. So you're going to lose games just by the experimental nature of that.
It really depends on the team, though. Like some teams are deciding on certain strategy they want to use and they practice it a whole week. Certain teams are just going into scrims and picking champions to see what fits with what. I've seen people pick up champions they never played even in solo queue and just go in the scrim and test it out because they heard it's good or they think it's going to be good in the situation that opens on them in the scrims. Scrims is really a testing ground to the limits of a team. How good you can reach, how much you can extend in lane, how aggressive you can go, which fights you can take one-on-one, to get used to the matchup, to the limits of the matchup, etc., etc.
I think on a truly stable team, losing scrims won't matter. But on teams that have low motivation, like, could you just imagine, like, if you constantly are losing scrims over and over again, like what that can do to I wouldn't say mental health, but like the mental stability of a team? Like, it would really suck if you're a team that wasn't super stable with like the proper backing and like the proper psychological preparation to constantly lose scrims. So a lot of people argue that winning scrims is important for not just motivation, but for keeping morale up to show that you guys can still do it. Because even though a player will believe, it's just a scrim, no, it's not super serious, and they're saying it's not like the most accurate representation of my play, it's still gonna affect you in a way if you're on a team and you're waking up every morning losing 7 scrims a day and then going to sleep. Like
that is true. I mean, I can attest to that from my time managing Counter-Strike teams, and just covering Counter-Strike tournaments. When players come in and their practices have been terrible, and you go up to them and you're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? How's the team looking?" And they just go, "Yeah, we're fucking shit. We haven't won a game in practice for so long. We're gonna go out in the groups." And then you kind of are like, "Nah, it'll be okay." But psychologically they've lost that belief, and then as soon as they lose a run of 3-4 rounds, that's when they're going to go on tilt and think it's happening again, boys. They're going to stop talking, and then invariably what would happen in Counter-Strike is when they crashed out of the groups, they would say, "I'm never playing with y'all shitters again," and the team would break up. It's probably a little bit more sophisticated for League of Legends, but perhaps not quite so much.
Well, in general, I could agree with you, and I actually agree with you. In general, the mentality, it's over there. But I give you an example for the exact opposite thing. Us in the playoffs versus Fnatic. Like, at that point, we were considering Fnatic as the best team in Europe by far. Like, you had Yellowstar, who went crazy good in the last 2 weeks in the LCS. You had Reckless, who he's always crazy good. Then you have Peke, you have Sauce, you have Cyanide, who were on the top of their shape the last 2 weeks of the regular season of the LCS. We were scared as fuck. We had bad scrims, we had good scrims, we had mixed results, we weren't sure what we are gonna do. We were pretty much fallen. We knew that Fnatic is the better team, and we're going out there, okay, with the idea, some of the people on the team had the idea, okay, let's go versus Fnatic, do whatever we can do. If most probably we lose, and then we just go against SK or Alliance, and we get the third spot, and we go to Worlds with it. Like, we're done with this match. Like, we didn't even put that much of pressure on ourselves. And then we go into the match, we win the first game, and everything changes. Like, literally, if that first game that we won brought us the mentality to actually go and fight into that match. And we made it a show. Like, we really pushed Fnatic to the limits in that matchup.
I agree. You guys are really close. I don't think anyone disputes that roccat were literally like this close from becoming a world's team in that playoffs. You guys were super close indeed.
I don't think we deserved it at that point. I don't think we had enough. I can't say that everyone didn't have it, but some of us didn't have not including me, of course, didn't have the motivation to fight and be for Worlds team. And that's what changes with us this year. Like, we really, really, really want to go to Worlds.
So let's talk about that. What changed? Everything has really changed this year, because right now, when people are talking about the top 3 teams, your name alongside SK are always on the top 3. Yeah. Like, sometimes people put Elements on the top, sometimes people put Fnatic on the top. I don't know who puts Fnatic on. Some people even are crazy to say they put Gambit on the top. No one puts Giants at the top. But you know what I mean? Like, it's usually a dispute between SK and roccat.
Yeah.
So, do you really... What?
Unicorns of Love is in the power rankings. Come on, don't forget about them.
Okay, if we're talking about some of the power rankings, I looked at a lot of the power rankings, and it made me want to take this knife and just...
Why'd you have a knife, Ram?
I ate dinner a while ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he says.
I just didn't put the dish back. Fuck. Thanks for reminding me. No shit. Anyway, it's just like I think either people overestimate teams or just don't know enough to really put teams at the top. But I think without any dispute, people are going to say that SK roccat finished somewhere in the top 3 in this spring split. And the third one, or whoever will be the other team joining them, is mostly disputed.
Well, I think right now there's 2 tiers of teams in the LCS based on scrims. That's again based on scrims. We can't say anything until the matches actually of the LCS starts. But based on
tell us who's in the tiers.
I think the first tier it's gonna be us, SK Elements, which fight for the top 3 spots. Then you're gonna have H2K, Fnatic, Gambit in the second tier, and then you have the rest as a third tier.
I mean, I don't know. I was really impressed with Gambit at IEM, and I don't know. I don't know if I got a feeling that there might be the surprise package. I'm not too blown away by Unicorns of Love, obviously. I think they just got lucky against a very disrespectful, underprepared TSM, and I don't think TSM will play that bad when the season starts. Although I think they immediately are aware, if Bjergsen underperforms, we've got fucking problems because no one else is going to step up for those guys. But keeping it in Europe at the moment, I think Gambit could potentially get into that top tier. But I agree with all the other picks. I mean, H2K have got a chance. I'm going to wait and see if they, all due respect to him, if they get the Ryu that we've seen so far in Europe, then they're not going to be. He'll be dead weight. But if Ryu performs like we know he potentially can, then I think they'll be very good as well.
He has huge potential, Ryu.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he can get back to delivering some of the performances we've seen in the past, I mean, he doesn't even need to go beyond that. If he performs like he has in the past and can do that in this particular European LCS season, H2K are going to be, dark horses, but losing for a talent like Forbiven is very big. Unfortunately for Forbiven, he's in Fnatic, who I think are really going to struggle. So
Well,
I disagree.
I disagree
I
too.
heavily disagree that you think Fnatic are going to struggle. And
I
I
do.
was sort of hinting at it a little bit about Huni, their acquisition for the top laner, and how he got onto Fnatic. So I don't know if
let's,
Sam...
let's tell that story, because this sounds like it's going to be interesting. So drop the Huni story for me.
Please
Because
just don't show the picture.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't know. Does Sam
Well,
want to...
maybe Sam might want to use the picture. We've got an example of Brokenshard's coaching notes. But anyway, just before you go into it, I'll qualify this. Now, a lot of people, when Huni was announced in the top lane, especially with Soaz going out to join Origen, everyone was like, well, this Huni's just a solo queue warrior. He's, not got any pedigree at all. This is going to be an incredibly bad pick. It's really embarrassing for Fnatic. And then a few people who have a little bit more knowledge about the Korean scene were coming out and actually saying, Huni's actually a top prospect and has been for a while. And then Ram told me this story about how Huni ended up on the Fnatic team. There you go. I've given you the intro.
So I don't know if Sam's going to use the picture. I'm going to need a confirmation because I'm going to... Okay,
Please
so
don't.
we're not going to use the picture. So
We're really not? No picture.
He's really hungover. Anyway, so Huni used to be a sub for Samsung Blue, right? So when I heard the story that when Fnatic was in Korea training for Worlds, they were scrimming Samsung Blue. And when Samsung Blue was using their original top laner, who for some reason I can't fucking remember right now, they were going mostly even in scrims, and the scrims were looking okay. But then Samsung Blue subbed Huni in, and he completely tore them a new one, in some words. Is that Huni, when playing on Samsung Blue, when subbed in, outperformed not just Soaz, but completely destroyed the map. Like, he was not only a mechanical machine, but had really good teleports, understood the fundamentals of top lane team play at that meta. And that impressed Yellowstar so much that Yellowstar asked directly for Huni for the top lane pick for Fnatic. Like, he requested Huni specifically. And it doesn't matter that Fnatic have a jungler that's literally nicknamed Game Over in Korea. Like, I shit you not, Reignover is nicknamed Game Over in Korea. That's how underwhelming this guy is. When you have a top laner that wins every wins every lane, a mid laner that wins every lane, and an AD carry that has no aggressive filter with Yellowstar as the support, it's not like you really need a great jungler. I think Fnatic is just going to be a team that will win lane almost every game. And not really requiring the jungle. And to have that prospect on a team in EU is really scary. So I don't think they're going to struggle. I think Fnatic have the best top laner in EU. Like, I haven't seen him play before.
But I mean, that's the insanity of what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, that's the insanity of what you're saying.
If so many people that have seen him play are telling me these things, I'm assuming they're not lying because either I'm naive or I trust them way too much, are telling me that this guy is the real deal, I'm going to believe them.
Yeah, but everyone's going to jerk off a Korean. We've seen that a million times. That came out really wrong, by the way. Can I just say?
That is
what
not,
I mean is, everyone's
that is
going to overhype a Korean. Every Korean player is the best. We've been told that a bunch of times.
Okay, dude, that is
Think
not
of it
true.
that way.
Ever since Seraph and Horo performing poorly, no one's been hyping Koreans anymore. Everyone's been super fucking skeptical.
Yeah, but prior to Seraph coming, do you understand how history is kind of repeating itself here? Do you understand what happened? It was like, Seraph, Monte Cristo's handpicked him. He's gonna fucking wreck everybody. Wait till you see this is the missing part of the jigsaw for CLG. No more disappointment, boys. And look where we are now. Like, the last time I think Seraph's gonna join the Challenger team. He's getting shit on in solo queue. You see his rage quit the other day, that video. Bjergsen saying no one misses him. We've heard all this before, Ram. And I as much as our intel on this show is always good. We always have our finger on the pulse about what's going on. But it's a bold fucking claim, especially having never seen him play in a competitive setting, that this guy's the best top laner.
Exactly. The thing is, Honey, he has a really specific playstyle. Completely different from what we are used to for a top laner. He's gonna be good, but in general, how fast it really depends how fast people are gonna adapt to that new playstyle and gonna react to it. I actually have Pr0lly coming over here. I'm not sure I want to be that. Wait,
Oh,
give me a second. Come over
yeah,
here, baby.
it's happening.
Wait, who is that?
Oh, we're talking about Honey and Fnatic. And we have a player that's actually gonna play against them. Cool. So yeah, he has a really specific style, but the thing over there is gonna be really how fast people adapt to it. And when I'm talking about, that's not good picture in front of me. Doesn't matter. Yeah, when I'm talking about rankings and tiers of players and teams and everything, I'm talking about long-term consistency. What I think is gonna be at the end of the split. Some teams are gonna start right now in the beginning. Some, please, Cardinals, please don't torment me that much.
This is what Brokenshard had to deal with in the house, by the way.
And you.
Oh yeah, me. I was there.
Hi, Pr0lly.
Thanks for.
Oh wow. That
Yeah,
hurts.
I think we're gonna.
You need to
wait,
get those
wait.
speakers turned down, I think.
No, we're gonna do like this.
Oh wow, how homoerotic is this going to be?
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna
Okay,
be
you
like.
guys all good? Y'all,
No, that's even better. Yeah, just try not to accidentally kiss.
Basically, you're saying you don't want another Meet Your Makers who, when they entered the LCS, had like a 4-1 in their first week, and then went
Yeah.
on to lose like most of their games when everyone figured them out.
Exactly
Well,
right.
that's one of the things. I think Fnatic in general is gonna be consistent after a certain time. Like we need to see how Fabivan is gonna perform exactly. The Fabivan and Ryu thing, I think actually for H2K in general, that change is actually good because it boosted the motivation, I guess, of the other 4 players, which means they don't rely on one certain star. They play as a team. They play.
I'm looking at Pr0lly's face. He's like, "Fuck! I wish Febivan was back." That's like the look on his face.
It's actually Ryu has actually really good synergy with the team. As much of communication barrier happens, like kill, go, like top and back are all like really easy things that are said all the time. So like, there's not much really big detail. Like, hey guys, we should go over to Dragon and then bait it for a bit and then do a little flippy roo. It's more like Dragon, go. So communication's gotten better because it has to be so simple.
We had the same idea, by the way, but we lost Ryu after
So,
that.
so how's he actually been performing though, Neil? Seriously, I got to ask this because you know me, I'm not harsh. I'm a nice guy. I try not to go to the levels of criticism that are considered unacceptable by our delicate League of Legends community. But Ryu has not been great since he came to Europe. We saw a very underwhelming performance from him initially with Millennium when he stood in for roccat. It was meh. So
he wasn't bad in any matter. Like, think about the pressure of that guy coming from Korea, risking completely everything to come to Europe. I was gonna say Bulgaria for some reason.
He came from Bulgaria. Ryu, the Bulgarian
Yeah.
legendary player.
Coming to Europe and he needs to perform on really top level. Actually, Ryu.
Oh my fucking god.
oh,
Come over here for a second. No, come over here. Only for
goes.
1 second.
let's
Come
milk.
and say hi.
Let's milk this traffic.
Yeah.
Let me tweet it out, guys. Come on, we'll run some ads while Ryu's on stream. Quick.
Here it is. Say hi.
Yes.
He's trying
There we
to
go.
by the way.
Next level communication.
Yeah. See, we got it.
See?
I understand that.
That's the pluses of having the office and everyone over here. See? It works.
I'll have to move out there. We'll start doing the show from there, I think. But Neil, seriously though, how's he been playing? How's your boy been playing?
It's actually been pretty well. The biggest difference so far is like team fighting, because he's actually a pretty good shot caller for the limited English he has. It actually works really well with the team. There are certain champions where he kind of like takes control of like the mid game and makes a lot of shot calls. And the transition is between when he's playing the champions that don't really make the shot calling, I guess, and working that into like team fighting, because he's used to dictating it a bit, and now he has to listen to like a Duamne who does most of our shot calling, and that's when the communication happens, where it's like, it's telling you like a detailed way to do dragon or something, and he won't pick up on all those words. So the dragon fighting and like stuff like that will go downhill when it's not him like dictating it. So
here's another question for you. I mean, you're talking about the communication, you're talking about the performances, it's being pretty good. You're talking about this team synergy. This is the tough question. Has he come into the team and made you think, fuck it, we don't miss Forbidden at all?
Well, like Forbidden was a really cool guy, and he fit on the team in a really unique way. Like, okay, every team I've been on, can I use your leg as an armrest? Every team I've been on, it's always been like very much everyone had like kind of equal say. Like everyone wanted to like have some kind of shot calling part or like information spreading part. But on H2K, Forbidden was like 100% never wanted to talk. Like if I was like, hey, Febby, like, tell your jungler that the guy has 1 HP. He's like, no, I can just kill him myself. So Ryu actually like is communicating like 10 times more than Forbidden ever did. So instead of the team used to be like 4 players and then like 1 like mechanical god, and that was our mid laner. So he was like on an island and we didn't really bother him. We're just like, all right, go kill people, go do really well. And then the other 4 people will dictate the game. But now we have 5 people with opinions on how to dictate the game, which is really good because there are times when like Odo gets like bloodthirsty and is like, oh, let's go fight. And then Ryu's sitting there like, playing a split pusher, and he's like, come, no, you guys stay there. I go take inhibitor. So that's like the team has changed in that way. And it's actually a lot better, at least from my point of view as a coach, because when I talk to Forbidden, I'd be like, tell your jungler you're about to kill mid lane or something. And he's like, I'm just going to kill mid lane.
He's going to see the icon on the side,
Yeah, it's like
the notification.
I couldn't like coach that because I'm like, you're already doing the best at what you do. Like, I'm not going to go improve his mechanics, sit there and be like,
close the door,
fix your CSing, bruh. So he was really hard to coach because he did his style so well. And Ryu, on the other hand, like, wants to do more of like a team play thing and like work with like Lulex and stuff. So we have a lot more like jungle mid synergy that wasn't there. And Ryu just makes it easier to like coach that kind of style because I can actually help that.
So here's another question. Just sorry to cut you off, Ram, because I really want to pick Neil's brains, and then
I got
we'll bring
nothing
you
to
in.
say. I got nothing to say.
Yeah, you have.
Not
Come
much in
on,
there.
come on.
I just want to talk about like having me sit behind Febiven and poke him. Like that was the extent of my coaching.
That literally was a point that we got to. We're like, Febby, you have to talk. Broken. Go sit behind him and poke him.
It's literally I was like sitting there, legs up, like watching the scrim, and then like every 5 minutes I just like poke Febiven on the side. I'm like, hey, say something.
You actually find something useful in Brokenshard.
Mm-hmm. He also got coke really well, and like made kebab.
Nice.
And he bought kebabs last time. I remember.
Oh yeah,
the
thanks
last
for the
show.
birthday present, Broken. He bought us a kebab for my birthday.
I gave Jet
not for me, though.
He is the ultimate coach.
I gave Jet my credit card, and he bought for you guys, so it's half a Jet as well.
So here's what I want to ask you about, because we were just talking about Fnatic, and I won't get into this, but obviously I spoke with Richard from H2K, and there was the whole thing about them, attempting to poach players. We won't get into that. I won't put you in that position. But first of all, we were talking about Huni. And Ram seems to think he's the best top laner in EU, despite having never seen him play. I don't know if you've got any
baseless accusations there.
That's the thing about Ram, though. He fucking puts it out there. He doesn't give a fuck. So, what do you think about Huni, first of all? And then I've got a follow-on question from that.
He's playing him first week. He hasn't tried.
I haven't gotten to scrim against him. So, other than solo queue observations, it's very, very shallow. I have very baseless opinions, like someone else I know. But he does seem really good. I will say that. I don't know how he works on Fnatic at all, but as an individual player, he does seem like a top 3 top in EU for sure.
So here's the follow-on question. It's the big question. right? Obviously, with everything that's gone on between H2K and Fnatic, and just to perhaps put it into context for those who have missed what was going on in the off season, we had Forbidden, who had pretty much agreed to join Fnatic for about a month to 6 weeks in advance. He wanted out of the team even prior to whether or not H2K got into LCS. There was perhaps an argument he was distracted there. Then, when Fnatic were scrambling to fill their roster after they lost other players, they allegedly, I suppose I should say, but they did, but they allegedly spoke to other H2K players, including Odwamni, and perhaps were trying to like, join us. So with everything that's gone on and the fact you're going to be playing against Forbidden, somebody who would rather play for Fnatic with all of the fame and all of the money, no doubt, I'm sure it's very lucrative for him, is there a special extra desire to fucking pound them? I mean, is there going to be a real fierce rivalry in that game?
There definitely is, because it's not like a revenge or anything, because like no one like has anything against Febby. Like we're also really cool, but at the same time, it's still like, you know, like if you got picked last for dodgeball and your friend was the coach, you would kind of hate your friend for like a day. So it's kind of like one of those things where it is going to be a bit of a grudge match. But
why the shoot?
One thing I'm making sure it's not going to be like,
you can join us.
Okay, I will join.
They're not going to go too ham. It's not going to be like 5-man mid to kill Forbidden at level 2. So it's not going to be like that crazy, but it's definitely going to be an attempt at murdering this guy's friend.
We're talking about Forbidden. Sadly, we can't give you a third ear.
Ask for his opinion. Ask for his opinion.
What's your opinion about H2K versus Fnatic in general?
I don't know. I think Fnatic will win.
He thinks Fnatic is gonna win.
Oh!
You sat right
there. Vander, come over here and give your opinion too.
Oh my God.
Holy fucking
Oh
shit.
yeah. Vander's on our side.
Vander's for
So
H2K.
we don't even know who this guy is.
But it looks like when they play that the top laner of Fnatic, he only could sign. I think it is in his contract that he has to camp the Beaven's lane, or he cannot get this spot. I think it's in his contract.
It's both the jungler and the top laner, and actually the new AD carry. He needs to roam too to Forbidden.
Yeah, it's all part of the contract.
It's a good contract.
So no, but I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's one of the great narratives in the early games in the European LCS. I'm liking the way that.
Give me a sec, Richard.
Yeah.
Richard,
Top secret.
can you try talking now?
Yeah. Is there echo? Is it good? I can't.
Do you hear us now?
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, I'm really liking the way that there's a rivalry kind of building between H2K and Fnatic. You know, ex-players, you know, Fnatic admire the players in the team. They're trying to get them in there. I think, given that I don't expect Fnatic to be very high up in the league, and I think H2K are going to punch above their weight. I think they're not going to be relegation fodder. I think, you know, it's actually going to be quite an important game. Not just in terms of all the rivalries and everything that's going on, but actually in terms of, you know, final positions.
I think for H2K, it's going to be more about, hey, we need to prove you made the wrong choice to actually go to Fnatic and not stay with us, rather than anything else. I don't think they have any bad blood from at least what I've seen with Fabi, and with them, we hang out a lot at Cologne, and we got to know each other. But yeah, I think it's more about just proving... Yeah. It's more about proving that he made the wrong choice by going to Fnatic and not staying with them. But who's gonna win? Okay. I have my both sides, H2K and a Fnatic fanboy, anyways. So I'm gonna be the neutral one. I actually think both of them are really tight to decide which one is gonna win. It really depends if H2K gets used to the style Honey plays. And how is Ryu Odwamne gonna perform in that match? Because Odwamne has the tilting problem. It depends with what mood he goes into the match. While Ryu has the problem of being really nervous because he needs to prove himself at 1, actually. And we have Inner Flame from SK showing up over there.
But I mean, we all know, regardless of outcome, Reddit is gonna go, Febby made the right choice, or Febby made the wrong choice. That's going to be the most upvoted shit on Reddit. Nothing else matters.
So look, here's one question as well. Now that Erlen's here, how you doing, NukeDuck? By the way, we started the show talking about you, and one of the rumors that's been going around, and I don't believe this for a second, but Ram said he heard a rumor that you were getting shit on in scrims, in particular by Fox from SK. Is this true, dude?
Brokenshard said this?
Yeah, Brokenshard.
I
He's
said I
crazy.
heard a rumor, and I have you as my mid laner for fantasy, so I was gonna lose if it's true.
Oh, okay. No, but after a game versus SK, they will always know me as the SK Destroyer. So
The SK guys over here in front of us.
But yeah, so I mean, how are you settling into the team, Erland? Is it been a good transition for you? I mean, first of all, I guess you're happy to be back after the unfortunate holiday you had to take, and now you're back with a good team around you. Are you settling in well? Are you enjoying yourself?
yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I think we are playing pretty good, and I think I'm playing good too. And everyone is nice, so I couldn't ask for more.
Is Tommy really a good manager? Because everything I've seen recently, like even Thorin is saying now, like Thomas is like one of the best guys in EU. He's like their secret weapon.
What?
I'm pretty sure I did see that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that. There was an article on Esports Heaven, an interview, and that got voted to the front page, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, yeah, Flyy is like the fucking best guy ever. He's so smart, so intelligent."
What?
Is he really like that, NukeDuck? Don't just be nice because it's his birthday.
Yeah, I won't. He can sometimes be pretty troll and unserious, and maybe annoy us when we scream sometimes. But he gets more shit done than any other manager I had. And I also had SK manager versus standing right in front of me as my manager before. So
Wow, the friends.
You did fire him right after you got LCS, so I don't think anyone's really going to.
I think it's time for you to leave.
I think it's time to leave, boys.
I think we're done. Well, look, what we'll do is, because we did actually have some topics to talk about, all we've done is talk about how great you guys are. I'm just treating you like you're Koreans, which I'm going to stop doing. What we'll do is we'll take a quick break. We'll come back for the second half of the show. And just to let you guys who are watching, who've tuned in, we're going to be talking about the Alex Ich move to Brawl. We're going to talk about the announcement of the mid-season invitational, the Shizoli ban. We had the LPL audience get wrecked by told they couldn't attend due to safety concerns. And the LPL broadcast in general, we're going to talk about that. Maybe you guys can't. We'll see. And of course, Primetime League. We're going to talk about the rivals. So we'll talk about that in about 5 minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. This is First Blood. There we go. That was our tribute to Rainover, the great jungler. That apparently was so ineffective. He's called Game Over, according to Ram. So there we go. We've ran that little video in honor of him. Perhaps that'll become a meme. A lot of what we do on this show does. Anyway, if we just get all the we've had all the banter out of the way, so let's get down to some topics of actual discussion. Last week, it was the middle of this week when we couldn't get our guest on for whatever reason. One of the things we were going to talk about was Alex Ich moving to Brawl. I think this is still relevant, and I think we should mention it just for the record. I'll start with you, Ram. What are your thoughts about this move? I mean, again, it seems to be this horrible downward trajectory for one of the game's biggest stars.
I feel actually happy for Alex that he's able to find a place that he can actually stay in. Like the NA Challenger, for most streaming personalities, if you're a famous person or well-known or well-liked in the community, being on a Challenger team and being able to have the freedom to stream is actually not a terrible situation. And knowing that he's probably going to get a visa means that his family is probably going to be well taken care of. And, I mean, living in the States isn't exactly the worst place to live, so I don't know exactly about how strong the team Brawl can be or how good Alex is right now, because he's definitely not at the same level that he used to be. Like, it's not even arguable. It's fact at this point. He's not the same godly mid player that we're used to seeing. It's not him anymore. But that skill ceiling is still there. So I'm not saying that it's entirely unrealistic that he reaches it again. It's just that it's not there right now. So whether or not this team Brawl can be a competitive team is left up to question to seeing the rest of their roster and how they perform. But it looks like Alex is just looking for a stable place at this point because, I mean, he probably wasn't happy with Starladder. I don't think anyone would really be happy playing in the Russian scene.
What do you think about this, Flyy? I mean, you've talked about Alex, I think, on the show in the past. What do you think about him moving to Brawl? Are you with us, Tommy? Oh, he's muted. I think you're muted, Tom. And surrender.
Am I fine now? Do you hear me?
Yeah, there you go. That's the Tommy we know and love.
Thank you. I know it's still my birthday, but still, you can do it after midnight too. Anyways, everyone who asked why we didn't pick up Alex Ich for IEM Cologne, here's your answer. He could choose between either getting EU visa or NA visa, and he had the long-term option for NA. Here's his choice. Now we know why we didn't pick him up, and we picked up Rio for mid lane for IEM Cologne. What I think about Alex, I think it's a good life decision because he can actually go with his whole family over there, which he was looking for the whole time. He joins Team 8 as a sub, which qualifies him as a professional player, so he can apply for the visa over there and everything, and then he plays in a challenger team to keep up the shape. I think at some point Team 8 might actually use Alex Ich, which is going to be good for him. It's another option.
Why won't Team 8 use him, this split? Because they're probably not going to be next split.
No, to be honest, I prefer if they stay even the next split. I really like their top laner, Calitrolls. There's a really good storyline around him that can be worked around and done. And to be honest, he really impressed in the promotion qualification tournament. So I want to see Team 8 even more after that. I like them.
Yeah, I love his contribution to the game. I've interviewed Alex a number of times. He's always struck me as a great guy. I like the way he's very open about, it's about working around his family, and he for me treats the game in the right way. It's an extension of your life. It isn't the thing to revolve around. It's not the center of the universe, and he makes it work around him. But I also see Ram's point. I don't think he'll ever be quite the same player that we know and love, and for me, it's a little bit sad to see him in a challenger team in an A of all things. Where we talked about this. Now that these promotions are over, I think the best teams that were in the NA challenger scene are in LCS now, thanks to the expansion tournament. And I think if you look at NA Challenger, it's not that great. I mean, you know,
Well, I mean, there's Fusion, there's Enemy, and there's TDK. I think those would probably be the dispute, the top three. But one thing to note is that Brawl, the challenger team that Alex is playing on, won't have him playing in their first round. They'll be playing against Enemy actually in their first round, which is probably considered one of the better challenger teams with Trashy as their jungler. He was the former H2K jungler, SKP jungler as well. So he's probably not even going to be like qualifying to the LCS if Brawl end up losing. So he won't even be here for that first match. So that must say a lot that he's really just going to the States to be in the States and to sort of like exist in NA Challenger.
Yeah, he's moved around so much for the game though as well. Like what happened with Nip? God, it's one of the tragedies really. You know, it's a shame. We should probably bring NukeDuck back a little bit, because obviously it was NukeDuck and Mithy's bans that really kind of made that a redundant project, and he was really into that. You know, he moved to Sweden. He was there at DreamHack. You know, I interviewed him about it, and I know if those two guys don't get banned, I just wonder what would have happened. I think there's a great story there for one of our budding League of Legends historians.
I think they would. That will NIP wind up with NukeDuck, with Alex, with Michi, and etc. They would have made LCS. I think like they had people to make it into the LCS. But again, I don't think Alex was that happy, because actually at the end, his family moving to Sweden didn't actually work out. So I'm not sure if that was actually at the end positive for Alex or negative. That's something that we need to actually go and talk with Alex at some point, invite him for the show and see what he's gonna say.
I'm sure Alex will come on one week, and we'll definitely get him in there. I think he's going to bring so much to the challenger scene, and Ram's absolutely right. I think there's a huge storyline you can build around with them, but I just don't think Brawl have the strength in depth to really push on and be an LCS team, not with the current crop of challenger teams. I don't think it's a particularly strong field, but I think there's going to be a lot of weight on Alex's shoulders. Maybe he can carry them to glory, but I think that's too much to ask of any one player in the current.
To be honest, from the options he had either to stay at Rock's Kiss, which was, come on, I don't think they can compete anywhere. Either go and try a little bit higher league standard and try out, see maybe he's gonna try out with Brawl, and at a certain point he's gonna NukeDuck is gonna come and commentate about Alex Ich anyways.
Oh, he's here.
Yes, he's next to me, but move the chair.
Awesome. So they've done it. We spammed Quack enough in the Twitch chat to summon you. Well done. Well done. So just take the earphone. I'll pop him in there. Hi again, Erland. How are you doing? You good? I missed you.
Enjoying the Twitch chat experience in the break.
Well, we're talking about Alex Ich and his time with Ninjas in Pajamas. Obviously, he recently announced that he's joined Brawl. We just wanted to get your memories, your thoughts, your perspective on Alex Ich as a player and what you think he's going to bring to Team Brawl based on your, time with him in NIP.
In NIP, he was playing top lane though, and I think he plays mid lane now. But he was pretty good at top lane. He was pretty much our shot caller when he was playing with us. So he was pretty good. But then when he swapped back to mid, I played against him a bit, and he was pretty not that good. So I'm not sure. Like he doesn't play much anymore, and right now he's really not good. But if he practices a lot, maybe he can become good again.
What was it like when the because we were just saying that team, the team with you and Mithy and Alex and it was just a great team. The team that you were in with Nip with Alex, that would be prior to the ban. Obviously, that was a great team that would have made LCS. I think everyone agrees with that. So what was it like after the bans came in? How did Alex react? Did he say anything to you about it?
No, like he knew like the damage was kind of done already, and it was no point like I mean, from there on, everyone was just like thinking it was really bad, and obviously me and Mithy were thought a lot about it and changing and stuff, but they couldn't really like. I don't know. They didn't get mad at us or anything. They were kind of sad, but they instantly started looking for new players to play with them. They even tried out Power of Evil that is now in UOL, I think.
Yeah.
And Exile 2 or something, but it just ended up not working out. I think me and Mithy was actually the core of that team, so I don't think that they could do that much without us.
So just to cut, we'll stop talking about Alex, but I'll give the last question to you, Erland. Do you think he can ever be the player that he used to be? You know, this iconic, inspirational player, mechanically brilliant, innovative. You know, he's obviously got a great mind about the game, and I don't think that'll ever truly leave you. Do you think he can get back to his best? It's okay if you don't. A lot of people think he's past it.
Yeah, I don't think he can. But he has a good mind for the game, but I don't think he will ever be like the best mid in the world again or something like that. But he can probably become good enough to at least play in the LCS in NA, I think.
Well, I hope he does. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
You know, he's always been a cool guy to me, and he's made such a great contribution to the game. I think perhaps one season, let's get him coaching. Let's get him as a manager or something. I think that'd be great for him.
The thing that he needs money to sustain his family, I think. So I'm not sure if he gets paid enough right now as a coach or a manager to do that.
Well, you know, coach stroke streamer.
Yeah, maybe.
It's money.
If he could make it work, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on to the next topic. Again, Erland, feel free to stick around if you want to. It's the announcement of the mid-season Invitational, which kind of came out of left field. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming. Guys, obviously, I know we're kind of pushed for time, so I don't want to dwell too long on it, but I'll throw it over to you, Ram. This announcement puts an extra event on the calendar. It effectively replaces what we had in Paris All-Stars. It's another international event, which is what the League of Legends community were crying out for. Have Riot made a good move with this one?
Yes, I think this is a good move. The All-Star event, while like really hype and awesome, it's not entirely gone. So a lot of the people who did enjoy that will be able to enjoy it after December, is what what Riot was saying. So it would be the event after Worlds during the off season. So that's really cool. I think that the mid-season invitational, along with the fact that Riot are putting a lot more incentive in the spring split, like for people to do well in the spring split, combination of those two means that whoever's going to go to this mid-season invitational will probably be like the best teams in Europe or the best team in Europe. We don't know the format. And it's just, again, more international tournaments. And if teams take it seriously, you know, then it'll be really good. But if teams kind of don't take it seriously because it's not Worlds, which actually might happen, Riot need to figure out some way to incentivize this tournament without it just being cash prize. There needs to be more to it, if possible.
Is prize pool announced?
No, not yet.
No, yeah, they've not even said how much it's going to be.
From what it looks like, it's pretty much what Riot did is people were complaining about missing the old All-Stars, so they pretty much changed the name of the new All-Stars and kept it going and put it another All-Stars probably at the end of the year. Like, we don't know yet if they're going to announce after Worlds All-Stars. I'm not sure what they did and what not, but pretty much they renamed the All-Stars between the two splits. They renamed it and just put it there.
It's not the same, though, because instead of getting individual players, you're getting, like, the best teams, not like the first All-Star.
You had that last year. You had that last year.
In the first All-Stars, we had individual players. In the second, we had the best team, but yeah. I guess it was a combination of both.
You had a couple of players going there doing the show match and everything, but still, the main event over there was between the best team from each region. Was like the small worlds, as they called it back then, and they call it right now.
Yeah, but the incentive of winning that tournament wasn't as big, and we saw teams like Fnatic who even stated that they were out partying right before, just not taking it seriously, and that's a problem that it might run into. Like, if they make the event incentivized in some way to everyone that is involved, like, for example, the winner of that event getting a direct seed to Worlds. is
That's
a pretty
gonna
big
happen.
incentive. I'm just saying that's a huge incentive that would make it, but it's probably not the best way. Maybe some kind of point system.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but just having money is. I know money is for me as a Jew, it's like super important, but like for other people, it's not that big of a deal. There needs to be some incentive because it has the potential to be like a fantastic idea, and has the potential to just be like an idea, like it's
Well, but
it's like another
sending
thing.
sending a team to Worlds before summer split even starts, it's a fucking dumb idea. Like making a team. Do you imagine what is gonna happen to that team? Like if it's European or NA team, that team is gonna stop. Imagine what happens. That team wins that tournament, goes to gets the spot for Worlds, and then drops into relegation. Imagine that. Like makes no sense. Like
Yeah.
what Riot wants is to make the spring split still matter and those events, but in a way that still at the end of the year you have the best teams
I know.
competing at World. So it makes no sense to add that team. If money is going to be a motivational boost, it depends on the prize money. But I think this year, a lot more of the teams actually become more competitive and they want to prove themselves. Like last year, most of the teams were, yeah, we just gonna play the spring split, and then in the summer split, we're gonna try hard a bit, go to Worlds and see what happens. Right now, I can see it with us, with SK, and with other teams. We really, really want to go to Worlds. Like, we really want to fight the international teams and prove ourselves. The people are a lot more hungry to prove themselves in general. What do you think, Nuke?
Yeah, I think so too. But I think adding a good prize pool on that tournament would not be negative either. If it would be like almost as good much as Worlds, I don't know.
Who
You can
rejects
tell when
money?
the player's talking, it's all about the money, right? Straight up, no. I'm kidding though. But the reality is, I think you're absolutely right. I think if this wants to be a serious event, and I went to Paris All Stars. I thought it was actually quite a poorly conceived and poorly run event. I thought it was neither All Stars. You know, they had that Earth mode. It was a little bit like, it's fun, it's great. We all enjoyed watching it, but as a serious tournament, it kind of failed a little bit for me. The prize money wasn't particularly exciting. It didn't have enough international teams there to really hold the attention, and it was a bit of a letdown. I think most people would agree, and especially people who attended, and because they only had French shoutcasters at the event, when the in-ear microphones, radio microphones, didn't work, you literally couldn't hear them. That was a huge problem for the audience there. There was no merchandise to get. I think most people that were old enough just drank themselves into a stupor. So hopefully Riot will revise that format. I think having, as you rightly say, a tournament that means something within the context of Worlds, within the context of a year-long season, some way to incentivize it, like maybe championship points if that's possible, or just something could really push it over the top and make it a centerpiece of the season. I'd really like to see that.
Well, technically, that All-Star event that we had last year, the winner, the region winner of that event gets an extra slot for his continent, which is quite a big thing already. Like, imagine
But does anyone? Yeah, but does anyone care? Like, this is a serious question now. I mean, if let's say I'm a team in that event, I don't give a fuck if another team gets to go to Worlds or not. I just care about me and myself. My team. So winning
There's no real patriotism at this point.
Yeah, like seriously, like why do I care if another European team gets to go to Worlds or not? I don't.
Because-
I don't think that's a big enough incentive, frankly.
Imagine Fnatic last year was the team at All Stars. Imagine if we have won 3-2 instead of lost 3-2. SK would have smashed Fnatic after that. They would have been down on themselves, smashed, and they would have left fourth. That means if they have won All Stars, they would have the world spot either way. So it's not about patriotism, it's you want to secure yourself. You want to know, and the other thing is, if you reach the top 4 already, you can stop giving away information to the international teams. What you play, how you play it, are you more aggressive, how do you turn out in really pressure environment, etc., etc. So
I suppose that's I suppose that's interesting. I guess I'm not really thinking about it in those terms, because for me, for a team to be winning tournaments, I would be aiming to win LCS, an LCS split as well. I wouldn't be thinking, well, I better create a fourth place in case I'm fourth. That seems to me a little bit, not how champions, not how winners would think.
Yeah, I
But
don't think I think if Fnatic actually won All Stars,
mm,
the last thing they think about is going fourth in playoffs. Let me make that absolutely clear. If they
I
beat
think
the
so
best
too.
team in the world, they're not thinking, all right, guys, we've just secured ourselves to end fourth place in playoffs. We're going to Worlds. Like, I understand the thought behind that, but, like, the actual practicality of it is really not logical at all.
I tried.
no. You know what? As always, Tommy. I mean, as has been proven many times over, that you've got an intelligent perspective, and I hadn't even really thought about that. And within the context of that particular season, you're right. It did make a big difference, actually. But anyway, we'll move on to another topic. I think, unless anyone else has got anything they want to add about the mid-season invitational, I think the general consensus is good thing by Riot. Well done. Yeah,
Yeah.
do we?
I mean,
Yeah?
again, if it's incentivized and teams go and take it seriously and we got good games, like, there's nothing bad about that. I think everybody wants to watch good teams play good games. But if there's no incentive, we might just see teams just go, fuck it, and just, like, fuck around and not care about it, you know?
Well, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that particularly either. I think one of the charms of esports is teams don't necessarily have to take every tournament as serious as but players are entitled to a bit of fun as well and to enjoy themselves. And that was one of the great things about esports. You can attend fun tournaments. They were still tournaments. You still wanted to win, but you didn't have to try super serious to win them. People could go to smaller tournaments and play against weaker opposition and have a bit of fun and give those other teams that play against you the experience of playing against true greats. That was again a staple of the esports experience for me. So the idea of having a slightly less important tournament where everyone can kind of unwind a little bit and try out some fun things, I think the fans would welcome that. I think I would welcome that. I think the players would welcome it as well. But that's again just my opinion, and I'm by no means an authority on these things. Next topic on the list: the Shizoli ban.
Who the fuck is Shizoli? The only thing I know about this Shizoli guy is there's one video of Chaos playing, like, Tristana or something, and he comes out of the base home guarding with Gragas and misses every single skill, and then everybody laughs at him, but I don't even fucking know who this guy
Dude,
is.
I'm the same.
Oh, wait a fucking second.
Yeah.
Did Riot actually ban someone from NA?
Well, so Shizoli. I mean, it's just it's worth talking about because obviously my understanding is Shizoli is in a ranked fives team, and that was why I think this decision kind of took got the attention that it did.
Okay,
It was the usual shit. It was something that I think Erland will be able to identify with. Look, I'll just read it. Fuck it. So Shizoli participated on the roster of a ranked fives ladder team that qualified for the Spring Challenger Series qualifiers. During the rigorous vetting process that all players seeking to participate in the Challenger Series go through, it came to light that he has been demonstrating excessively toxic in-game behavior. There's that word that I love to hear. Sends chills through my soul. This behavior included, but was not limited to, in-game harassment, verbal abuse, and use of racial slurs. Over the lifetime of his account, 65% of the reports his account received were for verbal abuse, negative attitude, and offensive language. And again, those last two things, I don't even know where they're a thing. He has been consistently receiving chat restrictions since March and has shown no indication of reform. So they banned him for a split and he was removed from Challenger. I mean, I don't think this is going to necessarily upset the balance of the future of the game.
Let's talk about timing. Let's talk about timing, right? Let's talk about timing again. When is this team set to play? Like, when is this team set to play? Because we actually talked about this, I think, in episode 3 or 4, where the Flaxish got banned that had Julius on it, and they literally, not only could they not find a sub, they had to use their coach, who was like Diamond 1, thank God. it was like only a few days before the tournament. If we're talking about timeline and this team actually has time to find a new player or generate some kind of synergy with a new player, then that's an extra step in the direction that we weren't seeing in the past, where Riot was literally banning right before a tournament. Like, let's not even talk about Team Solo Mebdi, who literally got banned while they were in the airport on the way to fly to the event to qualify for the LCS. Like,
But
that's
it's
obviously
not-
something we want to avoid.
It's not Riot's problem if someone is toxic. You can't they get banned when they get banned. I don't think that if they are if they should be getting banned, then Riot investigate, and when they're done investigating, they ban them. They can't really care too much about the team and stuff like that because it's their fault in the end anyway.
It's their criteria because, I mean, think a little bit about like players who should be banned but aren't banned, like players that there's lots of video evidence and chat evidence of them being incredibly toxic and them not being banned, and then players that I guess no one really knows about, they get banned. So obviously Riot have their own criteria that isn't public knowledge to people. So I don't think it's entirely fair to say that it shouldn't be Riot's problem, because they have a hidden criteria that we're not so sure about, because it seems that they're really inconsistent with the bans that they give out.
No. I have talked a lot to rioters and stuff about this, and they ban based on numbers of reports and stuff like this. They don't ban. They don't actually look at people themselves and ban them. They see through numbers and a computer and stuff like this. So they make sure that it's fair. So even if someone has a video of him being really toxic one game, he might not be as toxic the other games, and the computer don't or the numbers don't give him that high toxicity numbers, So if someone is toxic every game, then he will get banned. But if it's one video, then he might not get banned.
I mean, look. So here's the thing. I kind of lean more towards Ram's assessment of this. There seems to be almost Riot try and add an extra element of punishment to the ban when they issue them. You think about when they issue the bans for all of the players that we know famously to be toxic. Again, that word just sends a fucking shudder down my spine every time I have to say it. But when the ban is distributed to the players that have violated the rules, it's interesting how they always seem to pick an inconvenient time. And we know, first off, there's no real secrets about who has the issues on ladder, who isn't a particularly pleasant person playing solo queue. And indeed, Riot know that because, they always dispense warnings first, chat bans, short bans, 2-week bans, where you have to play on your Smurf account that everyone has because of those bans. That's just how it works. And therefore, with a big tournament coming up, for example, I mean, the Team Solo Mebdi situation was ridiculous. It should never happen like that. They could have just as easily been, there's a tournament coming up. We know this team wants to compete. Let's preempt. What have they been doing? Let's have a look. That's being proactive about the problem. It's like you don't wait until an athlete's in an airport before he flies out to a tournament and say, "Can you just piss in this bottle, though?" Yeah, we need to do a urine sample. You do your testing about people's appropriateness and then meeting of the criteria for a tournament in advance or after, as may be relevant. You can't just do it at the most inconvenient time for the people. And I genuinely believe Riot do this as an extra form of punishment, an incentive to reform. Remember that time you were in the airport, you thought you were going to a tournament, and then you logged on with your free airport Wi-Fi and found out you were banned? Yeah, you won't be toxic again. So the Shizoli thing for me, it brought up one question. Prototype Black.
What? Sorry?
Prototype Black, the final 5 player?
Oh.
Nope.
Okay, well, this individual is known for. It came up during the expansion tournament. This is a player that is known for just being not pleasant to play with, and again, it doesn't bother me. you hit mute, you just get on with it. But obviously, for whatever reason, people don't want to just do that and just move on with their lives like they do in Dota. In League of Legends, it's a very different culture, and for whatever reason, we want to demonize people for saying mean things. And Prototype Blacks, I mean, everybody says this dude's one of the worst. One of the worst. And again, was allowed to compete in the expansion tournament. I'm told that again there was talk about it, there was warnings, but it's this inconsistency. Really,
No.
I mean, it does feel inconsistent.
It's really about, as NukeDuck said, it's not about person to person. It's in general what the numbers show. How much toxic have you been? How much of the reports are actually legit? How much toxic have you been and everything? And the main base of Riot is apparently a computer-based formula that they use for those things. And let me ask you something else, get you a little bit back on the topic. The Team
sure.
Soul MEBG team, how much people got banned back then? Was it 2 or 3 people?
3.
I think it was 3.
3 people. Okay, let me ask you a question. The lineup is walked with 5 people. You have the right to switch a maximum of 2 people. Would it have made a difference if they had the team flying or the team being at home or whatever? The team was going to be banned anyways, and they wouldn't have competed.
Not true. The thing is that if Riot banned 2 people, they would have an opportunity to replace those members.
Yeah,
Like
but in that case, we're talking about 3 people, Rocken.
Like what Pr0lly did with Lynak. They replaced him with Virtual literally days before the event. That's an example. They banned all 3 people so that Team Solo MEBD was disqualified entirely.
Yeah,
They actually didn't even have a team replacing them at the event.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have a good management behind the team, which Riot is actual goal is the long term, is that management would have known about those players, would have been prepared about those players, would have had subs and everything else. Like I understand at the end is
You don't
Riot.
understand. The subs thing doesn't apply to Team Solo MEBD. They lost 3 members. They couldn't field 3 out of 5 of the roster, so they were automatically disqualified.
Yeah, I finished with that, and I explained why does it matter for Solo MEBD, and you can't put it in the general example. So Solo MEBD is a side completely different situation because it wouldn't have mattered at all if they banned them a week earlier or later on. Or literally how they did at the airport. It didn't make any difference for the team. The only good was the other teams had a death win in that group. Okay, the next thing is, if an organization picks up those toxic players, and believe me, you need to be a fucking dumb, okay, sorry for the cursing and everything, but you need to be dumb to actually pick up those players knowing who they are and how they act. The management, the people behind their teammates, they know who they're picking up. And they know the risk. And they take the risk with that.
Let me just make something obviously clear. You're saying that management and teams, when they prepare themselves for the challenger, need to have that shit prepared. Not every challenger team is going to be fortunate enough to have either an organization or capable sponsors behind them. That's 1. 2, they don't have the resources to make it incentivized for good players. Okay, we're not talking about random solo queue players. We're talking about good players stay as subs on their team instead of play on active rosters. They don't have any way to incentivize that because, again, lack of resources in the challenger scene. What you're saying is true. If a team wants to be absolutely prepared, I definitely think having 2 subs right there behind you is the right way to do it. But challenger scene can't do that. At least in EU, we can't do that. You can't incentivize good players to stay as subs on your team in the event that one person gets sick or banned. Like, it's just not possible.
Like, for the sick thing, Riot is going to allow you usually to switch with outside, if I'm not wrong. I need to check the rules again. But my main point is, when you pick up players, when you make a team, even the players between each other in the team, they know who they pick up and they know who they play with. They've played in games with those people. There's the risk. They know it. And they need to be prepared for it. If they want. They take the risk with that certain player. Come on. Don't tell me half of the players don't know about this toxic players in solo queue they play every day with. In general, I agree. I think Riot is giving it way too much last minute. But still, that actually needs to force the teams think before they pick up the players.
They
See
need
who they
to
pick up.
they need to make their criteria known to the public and make it consistent amongst every case. Because right now people are still unsure about the criteria of what is the grounds of a player to be toxic. People can be playing with toxic players for an entire time, and these players can never get touched. I'm pretty sure Final 5 were thinking about it when they played with Prototype, and for some reason, I don't even know, like, he was not banned. But I'm sure they were thinking about it. But not everybody knows about it. And I just got a freaking tweet from Julius here. I didn't know Flaxish was toxic when I took him in. Which I don't know how, what's the word I'm looking for? Reliable
True.
that information
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
or reliable that information is. Like, not everyone can know to what extent a player is toxic enough to get banned. NukeDuck, did you know that you were gonna get banned when you got banned? Did you and Mithy know?
I didn't know, but looking back on it, I should have known.
Right.
So it was fairly obvious, I think.
Looking back at the time, people can't ever imagine something like this happening in real time. Looking back 6 months, obviously NukeDuck is smarter now. He's gonna look back and said, "Wow, I was a real dick back then. Of course I got banned." But 6 months ago, he wasn't sitting there thinking, "I'm probably gonna get banned soon. I should probably make that known." Like, what you're saying is true, but like in theory, it's completely accurate. But in actual practice, it makes no sense. Is what I'm trying to say. There needs to be a criteria shown to people to know to what extent. I'm not saying let people be toxic. Like, that's the bad thing. Obviously, in a perfect world, everyone's going to be the nicest person to each other, but that's not where we live in right now, alright? Players who are a bit of a dicks do end up going to fucking LCS, and they don't get banned. And players who are even slightly more dicks get banned. They need to make this criteria known so that people can sort of gauge what
We've
level
seen
they're at
numerous
and how close they are.
exceptions. We've seen numerous exceptions get made in the past for players, and it's really weird actually because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. You know, that you can't say, oh, there's a clear bias, because it just seems to boil down to how they feel on that particular day. Like, for example, if you were to look in the annals of history, I can't remember the name of the player. I could certainly dig this out. There was a player who was accused of DDoSing other players, and he got a warning, right? And then, of course, we know other players that have been accused of that have been banned on fairly flimsy, if you know, arguably non-existent evidence. On top of that, we know there are players in America which have had bans, and yet somehow passed the player behavior checks. And again, I won't name any names because maybe I hope to have them on the show one day. No, I'm just kidding. I won't name names because I don't want to necessarily dredge up old wounds. But you know, there are players that have received significant bans that are known for being toxic, yet passed the player behavior checks. It's not an issue. Never been banned. I know for a fact it's been brought to Nick Allen's attention that certain players were elo boosting, which again is against Riot's terms of service. And some players have been penalized for this, and other players absolutely haven't, despite there being inarguable evidence placed before them. It just seems to be a bit hit and miss, the disciplinary procedure. And perhaps it's like Erlen says, it almost makes it feel that they're not really looking at it. They're not taking a holistic view. They're just kind of waiting as to what gets put on their desk, on any given day.
Let me put an extra point directly with NukeDuck. We didn't know until the very end from Riot if he's going to be unbanned or not. The reasoning, which I completely agree with them on it, is we don't want the player to know, hey, he's unbanned, he's going to be playing, and he's going to change back. We don't want to give, if I remember right, they don't want to give exact criteria because they don't want people to know, hey, okay, I can be toxic, but until that certain point. If they
but here's the thing, Tommy. Here's the thing, Tommy. If they want this to be a real sport, you can't do that. Take Luis Suarez, right? Prime example again from soccer for our American friends. Football, if you are, of course, British and the best, the people who invented the game. Right, let's look at that guy. This guy, when he bit somebody, they were like, right, okay, he's gonna have to do this ban. When he used racist language, they said he's gonna have to do a ban of this length. They didn't say you're banned and we'll review it in 8 weeks and let you know if you're banned again. To sort of keep him on tenterhooks, to control his behavior. It's you got to just say this penalty, generates this ban. That's how it has to be. That's how every other disciplinary procedure in sports work. You aren't just kept on some sort of rollover. And I feel sorry for guys like Erland. Like while look, for starters, I don't necessarily agree that Riot should be banning players for like pro players or any player really for toxicity. I look at the way Valve handle it in Dota. And for example, we had a player like Mason who there was numerous instances of him using racist language, saying ridiculous things, trolling people, and he was picked up by evil geniuses. And, he went and did very well at the International and no one said a thing about it. Every time someone tried to bring it up, the Dota community were like, yeah, Valve don't have a behavioral control unit. They're not interested in that. They just want to have a thriving scene and a great game and a spectacle based around that game. What we've got here seems to be it's an incredibly strange position to take. It's almost like being a Catholic. You've got to atone for your sins. You've got to say your Hail Marys. And maybe you find out when you die, you've done enough to get into heaven. It's a ridiculous situation to live in. This
Look, Richard, look it from that side. The same thing as with the servers. Dota is having less problems with the servers than League of Legends. Why? The same thing is with the banning, with the toxicity and everything that needs to be kept in check. Why? Simple reason. How much players does play Dota? How much players play League of Legends?
Yes, obviously more players do, but you can have a core value here. What difference does it make if NukeDuck plays a pickup game? And I'll use him as an example because here, honestly, what difference does it make if he calls me an asshole and tells me to kill myself? I can fix that problem. I just press mute.
Those players well, in general, yes, but every single person is different. And the thing is, the players that are in the LCS, there's example for everyone else. The percentage, they need to behave the way that you think. Okay, press the mute and go on.
And that's fine. If we want to pretend that our sports stars, when they're playing games, don't say terrible things, that's fine. But as speaking as someone that's done sports coaching, I'll tell you, I swear at my players and I call them cunts if they're underperforming, and I say some terrible things to the players, and generally actually they react to it. They realize if I'm angry when I'm coaching, that's not necessarily a good thing. They should probably raise their performance. Equally, if I know there's a player that's having a particularly tough time, that's when you put your arm around them and you give them the encouragement. That's all fine. And I'll tell you, every professional footballer when they're on a pitch, or every professional boxer when they're in a clinch, or every other sports star, you know what they're saying to their opponent? You're fucking shit. I'm going to beat you. Every time they run past them and dribble past them, or every time you're punching them in the kidneys while you're holding them in the clinch, you're whispering in their ear, I'm going to fucking dick you. I'm going to break your ribs. You're nothing. That goes on. That happens. Trash talk
when
is an inherent part of all sports.
When NukeDuck 1v1 kills Fox, I want him to stand up, yell across, Fox, you are boosted! Like, I want to see that. I don't know if anyone else wants to see that.
So just to follow on to the point where I'm going with all of this, it's fine. Riot have made a decision that being mean to people in solo queue is bad for whatever reason, and they want to reform people. I think it's very alarming that any games company wants to reform its players, but that's fine. I guess you know what you're getting yourself into when you want to get hooked onto that Riot teat. But this is the point. You can't just keep them dangling. You can't just keep them dangling because that is a clear exercise of control. You can't just say, NukeDuck, you're banned until the end of 2015, at which point we'll review it and maybe unban you. No other sport would operate like that. In fact, if any other sport did operate like that, a fucking union would come in and go, you cannot do this.
For NukeDuck, they said he's going to be unbanned the next year. but they might ban him again if he hasn't changed his behavior and if it has stayed the same.
No, that's actually not true.
Okay, explain.
They said they would review the ban at the end of 2014. That was it. But basically, I was like told that like, I mean, if you just behave good, then you're not gonna get banned. Is basically like the philosophy. Like,
Yeah,
if
but I
you
get
behave bad, they ban you, and then
It's
you just
not
behave
something
good.
that
And
they said. It's not something that they said out of the open. They didn't say, if you're a good boy, you'll get banned, and if you're still a bad boy, you'll stay banned. They said, you're banned for this split. We'll review your ban at the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You
Yeah.
can't. You right? Why shouldn't? But put it this way. Let's just say they turned around at the end of this year, going into 2015, and they said, "Oh, you're banned for another year. We've just, decided." Well, all the time you wasted, effectively staying in shape, all the conversations I'm sure you had with other teams about, can I join you when I'm unbanned? All of that would have been a waste of your time. So it's the audacity of it all to kind of just keep you dangling. I think players need to know absolutely the lengths of their bans. That's how every other sport works.
Okay. I'm just gonna say something. I hate to be like against like Riot in this situation, like anti-Riot, since I've got Riot's biggest fucking hater in the box to my left. That's you, by the way, Richard. But it just seems like something that they want to control so badly. And it's been shown so many times that Riot really just want to control a lot of things. And the biggest problem about controlling this is that esports for a player is already a super dangerous thing to be in because it is incredibly unstable. Why is the organization behind the game adding another layer of instability to that player's career? Like, that's awful. That is terrible to be a player in that situation. Yeah, it's your fault you got banned, but it's also up to them to help you change. And adding that level of uncertainty and more instability to your career doesn't help. Like, thank God that NukeDuck and Mythy ended up on their feet and ended up on good teams. Like, good for you that you guys did that. But what if you guys were not so lucky? You would have been on that. You know?
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
I was pretty afraid. Yeah.
Sorry, NukeDuck, go on.
Yeah, I was pretty afraid when I was banned. Like, first of all, I need to be unbanned, and then I also need to get a team and stuff like that. So it was pretty uncertain, like whether or not it was actually even a good decision to keep playing at that point. So yeah.
Exactly, and this is what I mean. Put it this way: let's add an extra, into this hypothetical scenario. Let's add an extra degree of why this is a ridiculous thing. So let's say your dream, what you want to be as an LCS player, you want to be a League of Legends player. And you can be, you've proven it, but you're on this 6-month hiatus until the end of the year, at which point it will be reviewed. Not you will be unbanned, it will be reviewed. Okay? Now, let's say you're just there, you're waiting, and then 3-4 months into it, somebody comes up to you and goes, "Hey, dude, right, like, I know you're doing that fucking wacky esports thing that no one understands in the real world, but I got a great job for you here. It's not particularly exciting, it's selling cars, but it's great moolah, look, we can give you an advance, you get your suit, you come down, you sell cars down to my lot, it pays, 30, 40,000 a year, plus your commission on top. It's pretty fucking sweet." And you go, "When do I need to let you know by?" And they go, "Well, we got cars to sell, motherfucker, so we got to fill this position as soon as possible. So can you let me know next week?" At which point, you're going to say, "Leave it with me." And you call up Riot, and Riot go, "Well, we need to review you at the end of the year." So your life is now being thrown into fucking turmoil because Riot want to fucking control your behavior and make sure you reform. That's not how it works in sports. If someone gets banned, you get fucking banned. You know how long your ban is. You know you need to make arrangements to train, to stay fit. You know you're not allowed to enter football grounds in certain instances, or whatever the sport is. You make arrangements based around, this is how long I'm going to be out of action for. Your team make arrangements. They maybe go out and sign another player, but everybody knows there is a determinate amount of time before you return. It's not some rolling ban. That's the problem with it. Esports is too fucking unstable. People's lives need to have this like very clear-cut path in them because Ram rightly says it. Esports is an unstable business to be in the first place. If you wait those 6 months, you're fucked.
aren't we trying to make esports more legitimized and make it more stable as an actual career option? Like, isn't that the end goal? Who gives a shit if it's not a fucking sport? I don't give a shit if League of Legends isn't up on the fucking Super Bowl with football. I just care that esports becomes an actual, like, legitimate career that isn't as fucking unstable as it is right now. Because being a good football player, like, it's way more stable if we're going to be like.
Well, yeah, of course. And here's the beauty of it: if you get banned by one league, the ban doesn't even necessarily carry over. You know, I would draw attention to Joey Barton in the English league, who was an absolute disgusting human being. There's no doubt about it. I mean, all these fucking kids who think League of Legends players are toxic, they say to someone, "Kill yourself, you're trash at the game." Joey Barton got drunk and stubbed a cigar out in a junior trainee football player's eye, nearly blinding him and potentially ending his career at a Christmas party, you know, just because he's an arsehole, right? And he's still allowed to play, by the way. I mean, that wasn't a problem. He received so many, you know, just problems over and over and over again, so many bans, so many disciplinary issues. And in the end, when he got a sizable ban from England, he just went and played in France. And the French, being the French, they were like, you know, well, it's a different league. You know, UEFA had to basically say, hang on, we're a governing body of all over Europe. This ban needs to carry over. And the French were going, well, does it? There's no precedent for this. And if that hadn't have eventually been applied, Joey Barton could have just gone somewhere else. And this is what I mean. Footballers can just move around, play in other leagues. Riot controlling everything. You don't even have that luxury in League. You can't even get away from a suspension.
Yeah, but,
You can go play EPS in Germany.
but
Why not?
you have to keep in mind, though, that they are not going to unfairly ban you. Even though you're not 100% sure, they will not unfairly ban you. So if you behave, then you will get unbanned. It's not like they're randomly going to ban someone
No.
they have to,
agree.
because
I agree with you,
like,
Erland.
there will be
I
so
agree
much
with you, Erland.
backlash towards that and stuff. So.
The one thing I would never say, I mean, I know a lot of people think I'm like some fanatical Riot hater, which absolutely isn't true. But there's no point. There's no point in trying to say that at this juncture. No one would believe it. I don't believe for a second that Riot would ban somebody just because. Okay, they've got a very clear set of criteria. I don't necessarily agree with it, but you're absolutely right. I don't think they're just going to ban someone for the fun of it. But what I'm really worried about is two things. We've already addressed the timing with which they do it. They don't do it in a proactive fashion. They do it deliberately around the time, or so it seems, where it's most likely to hurt the player or the team, where it's most likely to give them that wake-up call. That's unprofessional for me. The other thing is they do not give you clear timeframes. And there's nowhere else for a League of Legends player to go and play because they control everything. So you can have this gift, you can have this talent, but unless Riot say it's okay, you'll never get to use it. Other esports don't work like that. You can be banned from ESL, and you can play in any other league practically. Now, I think for certain things, like we've seen with the VAC bans, if you get banned for cheating and it's inarguable, and Valve themselves have banned you, you'll never get to play at a major. You'll never get to play at one of the big tournaments with $250,000 of grabs.
Cheating. There's a huge difference.
Exactly, absolutely, I agree. But still, even then, those players who have been found guilty of cheating can play in other leagues. And the leagues say, well, we didn't ban him, he didn't cheat in our league, so it's fine. So there's other alternatives. This is one of the problems with having one centralized group controlling everything about one game. Because if you've got a gift and you make a mistake and they deem you unworthy to play, and it might be reasonable now, but it might be unreasonable tomorrow, you'll never get to utilize that gift. You'll never get to be a professional player if they don't want you to be. That should frighten people. That should not be something that we readily accept. And right now, obviously, there's not really a fucking lot we can do about it. But certainly, we should question this rolling ban situation that we've got in. I think it's I think it's really alarming for players. I don't think it's fair that someone like Erland, for all of his faults, right, you know, for the things he did wrong, I don't think it's fair that he should be sat there waiting, you know, please, Riot, please don't make me have wasted 6 months of my life trying to get back into this game. That's not how you treat people. That's unprecedented in any sport I know about. Anyway, change topic. Everyone's uncomfortable. Erland's squirming in his seat. No, I'm kidding. You made some good points there, Erland. Well done, brother. Let's talk about LPL. Have you been watching it?
Oh my god, this is gonna be another fucking Riot hate thing.
I'm not gonna hate them.
Yeah. Let's get to the fucking point, right? Why? Okay, let's talk about LPL first. LPL was exciting. I thought the games were good. It was really nice that it's getting a lot more exposure and a lot more people watching the Chinese scene, even though it's mostly, I wouldn't say mostly, there's a lot of like the big stars from Korea that are there. Rookie Kakao played absolutely fantastic in the games that we saw. He was really good. Spirit, people like those, Spirit Dade, Mata, Vasily, Dandy, like it's I think
Vasily.
them going to China actually makes it a lot more of an internationalized scene, so we're gonna have more people watching it, which is good for me personally because China is the scene that I know the least about. I'm never gonna claim to be a Chinese master, so it's good for me because it gives me more incentive to watch it. Because even though they've been a major region, it's now gonna be beneficial for me to know shit about them. Now, we encountered a little bit of an issue about streaming them since Riot did take over the streaming of the entire LPL, where they were only going to stream the first two best of twos and then opted to stream Oceania instead of LPL because they didn't have the bandwidth to run more than one stream from that area. Discuss.
I didn't actually watch it, and my food is here, so I will have to say goodbye to you guys for now. Okay.
The best timing. The duck has to eat, brother. It was great to get you on the show. I'll see you again. Best of luck for the LCS season.
Thanks,
You enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, good luck to you guys as well. It was cool being here.
Thanks a lot, man. Here's to the boy. Let him have something to eat. And I just want to say as well, while he's not here, I thought he fucking addressed the whole disciplinary thing really fucking well. Actually, what a top guy. And it seems like Riot maybe did cut out the toxic part of his brain, but you know, still, what a good guy to even have the balls to talk about it. Top lad. Anyway, sorry, continue, Ramadan.
I mean, it's just that they took over it, right? They took over the streaming thing, which is, you know, what Riot does. And then they claim that they don't have the fucking capabilities to stream every single region. Why take over it in the first place if you can't handle it? It's just like a very basic case of biting off more than you can chew at this point. And like, you'd think that a company of Riot stature would know that they won't be able to handle it. And how many people do you think got pissed off that they were going to stream Oceania games over the LPL games?
Dude.
Like, in no offense to Oceania, like you're a region in your own sense, but I'm sorry, no one really gives a crap about you over LPL. Not when the stakes are this high in the league.
Right.
No.
But I mean, okay. Let's just fucking contextualize what happened here. So we had a stream which production value wise wasn't particularly great, but had good casters, passionate people who were intelligent, knew about the scene, used to spend so much time talking about the players and the rivalries and the matchups. We had that. It was called LPL EN. It was great. If you like the Chinese, in fact, probably is the reason you even gave a fuck about the Chinese region, was because of these guys. And then Riot, because, you know, they wanted to switch things up and they've got a shop coming out and they want to get that sweet, sweet Chinese audience merchandising, took that away and everyone went, good thing. Okay? A majority of people went, good thing. And, you know, they didn't want to work with the people that had dedicated their time, and I suppose that's their prerogative. It's their choice, you know, up to you. And everyone went, good thing, actually. You know, we'll get some real casters in, whatever the fuck that means. And everybody was super hyped for this LCS-style production LPL broadcast. And then, what they didn't tell us in their announcement and the build-up to it all was, by the way, we're not even going to show you all of the shit. Because apparently, for some reason, Oceanic region games, where the studio is based, are on a parity with the LPL region. So get fucked, fans. And they won't allow anyone else to broadcast it. Is this real?
Yeah, this is. I think there was a comment on the either on the Reddit thread or on the actual post. 15 days into the new year, and this is already the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Like,
I just look. Here's the thing. Like, do you know what? I'd watch an LCS style broadcast about the Oceanic region. I'd love to learn more about it. I got friends over in Australia. Shout out to my boy Bodie, who's always on Trash Talk. Top fella. I've known Australian Counter Strike players for years. Actually love Australian esports. So I'd watch it. But I want to watch LPL. That was the fucking point. Like, I want to watch the games. In fact, I must draw people's attention. There's a great article. I know it's on the front page, but just in case, for whatever reason, you've just slithered out of your beds. It's still at number 3. It's by my boy. There's a guy called Ansi Bled. He's trying to get into esports journalism. He thinks if people deem his writing good enough, he'll make a good effort of it. He's a really cool guy. And he supported my work for many years, so it's great to be able to repay the favor. It's called How Riot Mismanaged the Acquisition of the English LPL Broadcast. It's on Liquid Legends, and you should check it out. It's a great fucking article. He really excelled here, and it makes so many great points. But let's just talk about point number 1, which is, of course, the Oceanic broadcast overlapping with it. Tommy, I know maybe, again, I appreciate you're always in a difficult position. I don't want to ever push you to say anything that may have repercussions.
He's lying. He wants to push you. He really wants
No. I got too much love for my boy.
No, he really doesn't. He hates you.
Again, it's not true. He knows that ain't true. But how can we justify the big song and dance about, hey, we're broadcasting LPL, let's all beat that drum? By the way, though, we're just going to show you these Australian games instead. Peace out. Like, is that really what we're? Do you feel shortchanged a little bit?
Like, first to say, I'm not really into following it in the last days because we've been moving around and I didn't really follow those announcements and all the details and what happened in the last days because we were moving, setting up offices, starting preparations for the LCS matches, etc. But for me, like, really basic stuff that I see is I think Riot took it, but something out of the main Riot, which idea was out of their control, happened over there in Oceania that they didn't expect is going to happen. In my opinion, in general, what they're trying to do, have all that LCS production level for LPL, for LCK, etc., etc. It's a really good idea, and I think it's gonna come with the time. But I think it's just okay. It's a big misfortune what happened right now, but I don't think it was planned or intended by anyone from Riot. Like, I don't think they wanted to punish someone or screw up someone from the old LPO and everything. I think their intentions are actually to provide a really good content and to draw the attention. Now when we actually have all the Korean, all the Vasily, and even though Vasily performed really good today, I think they want to draw the attention while they can on that league, or when all the players and when it's the actual hype happening. Yes, they mismanaged it, but let's give them a little bit time. And I know I sound too defensive of Riot, but it's actually something that happens a lot of the times, especially with Riot. You have every region, you have different people. And even when we go to an event, for example, with roccat, you have the esports guys, you have the branding guys, you have the boot guys, which you work on different bases on. So it's a major global project, and those things can happen, and those things are going to continue happening. And it's not only with Riot; it's going to be with different companies. They have happened before, and they're going to continue happening. Let's just.
I agree with you, dude. I agree with you. Look, here's what we know about Riot. Look, and I've said this many times, which is why I think the Riot hater label like it's applied to me is particularly unfair. Riot have produced, for me, in the form of an LCS broadcast, the best esports broadcasting experience I have ever seen. I was around during CPL when they tried to punch above their weight, and we all know how that ended. I was around for Gotfrag TV. I was around for the birth of streaming. I remember when people used to do audio-only fucking streams. You know, I've been around a long time in esports broadcasting. For me, LCS is the definitive esports broadcast today. It is the thing that most looks like something you would see in mainstream sports. And they've done an incredible job, Riot, with that. Incredible. Hands down. I even said this at the time and I got absolutely obliterated for saying it. But I actually think the average LCS experience, and certainly what we saw at Worlds, I thought it eclipsed even the International, which everyone, you know, in Dota, which everyone says is the Super Bowl of esports. I think the average LCS broadcasting experience is more engaging and more fun to watch. That's a personal preference. I'm sure right now I'm about to get DDoSed, so I'll make my point quick. And that is just that Riot have experience in this. Thank you. Riot have experience in this area. Riot have really raised that bar. So it's super disappointing when not only do they deliver a subpar product, but they don't even deliver the product that they promised the fans they were going to deliver. Riot are better than that. They've proven themselves to be better than that. And people should be absolutely angry that this hyped LPL broadcast, which so many people wanted to see and so many people were excited to see announced, actually turns out to be a joint LPL Oceanic broadcast, and actually a very poor one at that.
Just give them time. That's my opinion. Just give them some time and let's see what happens. I think it's just a minor setback right now towards this. I know a lot of people are upset and everything, but I think Riot are gonna get it working with the time.
And they will. They will get it right, and I think they've got great casting talent. But the point is, this is Riot. At the point where they said, "Dear LPL EN, we're taking the stream. P.S. Fuck you guys. We'll never work with you. And the only person we would be willing to work with needs to fucking behave themselves and join the cult of Riotology." If they ever want to have a fucking job, and we'll even stop them working for other companies that we're partnered with. At that juncture, they're making some pretty fucking bold claims about their suitability to deliver this product better than anybody else, and they fucking failed. I think how dare they make value judgments about other people's suitability to broadcast their game when they can't even broadcast their own game right. I'll throw back to Ram at this point, Tommy, because you've said give him time. I know that. So, Ram, final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
Press 1 if you think Brokenshard is a Bellend. What? No. I don't know. It was disappointing. Like, I expected them to go all out with this, and I thought that it was a really good step, because if there's any real organization to really like make all these regions be accessible, it would be Riot. Like, I tune into more OGN games this way because now I actually know the full schedule, easy to search up, and now I tune into more LPL games because they make it super accessible. But this is like a slip up that I expect them to see coming. Like, it's something that they should have probably planned ahead. Like, I'm pretty sure the production guy for Riot didn't wake up in the morning and say, "Shit, we have Oceania and LPL. I wonder what we're gonna do." I mean, I'm pretty sure that they knew about this from the beginning, and I don't understand why more preemptive or any preparation was done to make sure that this overlap didn't cost us being able to see all regions. Because obviously, I may have been a little bit out of line earlier when I said that no one gives a crap about Oceania. Because obviously there's going to be a people that do give a crap about the Oceania scene. I'm not saying trying to devalue the scene in any way, but like, majority, like, let's be realistic, majority don't really know much about the Oceanic scene, nor have the what's the word? Like, they don't want to. Like, they'd rather watch LPL. It's definitely the most hyped scene right now with all the Korean stars moving there. So the priorities may not have been straight, but even before the priorities, different steps should have been taken to say that this didn't have what's it called? This didn't happen.
Mm. Yeah, look again. We got the dude. He's with us in spirit. I agree, man. I think I would urge everybody for a more in-depth look at why the LPL broadcast in English didn't live up to its billing. I would absolutely urge you guys to go and read that article. It's over on liquidlegends.net. It's in the blog section. It's by Ansi Bled. Or some people call him Anal Bleed for some reason, which is really horrible. Please stop saying that. But he's been a big supporter of my work. And honestly, this guy, Ansi Bled, if he wants to continue writing articles like this, I think he's got a bright future. I really do. I hope you guys will support him and tell him how good the article is. It's currently rated at 4.5 stars out of 5 on the Team Liquid blogging system. It's a very in-depth article. I think it encapsulates the key points of the argument. So if you read that, I agree with it wholeheartedly. We don't need to dwell on it any much longer. But what was interesting was as well in LPL, as if it couldn't get any worse with our condemnation of it, there was no audience for the first week amid safety concerns. For those people that don't follow current events, I don't know if you followed what happened during the New Year, but there was the stampede around the River Bund in Shanghai, and that stampede resulted in the deaths of 35 people. As a result, the Chinese government have had a look about how they do public gatherings, about how they want to have even events inside stadiums and that kind of thing. So Tencent have complied to not hold a public event while the Chinese government, bring in some new legislature about how it can be done to prevent deaths in future. So the people who wanted to go to the opening week of LPL couldn't. They simply couldn't. And they were told that they would be compensated, not refunded, keyword, and they would be allowed to pick a date of their choice to attend any LPL live taping that they wanted. It was sold as being a decision based around audience's safety, but there wasn't actually a direct safety concern. So for the opening LPL week, the live audience was effectively prevented attending. So I just wanted to ask what you guys thought about that, if anything.
I mean, if there's a safety hazard, there's a safety hazard. I, for one, don't have any issue with people getting protected from getting stampeded. I think it's just a precaution, if anything. It kind of sucks for the people who got tickets, but I mean, it's not necessarily like a big deal. Like, I don't know why we're talking about it, because it's not. There's no way we can hate on Riot.
It's been a slow week, Ram. That's why we're talking about it.
I don't know why you're bringing it up, because there's no way we could hate on Riot with this, because it's not Riot's fault.
No, but I'm not trying to hate on Riot. I'm trying to.
Yeah. Okay,
about it.
It's just. I guess it's a safety hazard. It kind of sucks that it happened, but
look what you've done to Tommy.
People have to take precautions, especially when there's human life.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't necessarily think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure other large public gatherings happened in the aftermath of New Year's in China. I don't know if Tencent were compelled to comply for whatever reason, but I'm pretty sure it could have gone ahead. I don't think the Chinese society has shut down, people being allowed in buildings or whatever. Pretty sure their country would grind to a halt if that happened, right? So I'm just curious. It seems almost like an over precaution.
Imagine the worst case scenario that they do it and then something similar happens.
Yeah, but why would it happen? Is my question.
Because let's say Dade gets like a double kill, walks over and like stabs Vasily in the eye or something. Like that might happen. Like,
oh my god,
dude, fans are crazy. You don't know what could fucking happen. Like I've been to a football game in England and I've seen some fucking shit, man. I've seen some shit, man.
Ooh, a football game in England. Wow, really?
Are you sure? Have you watched this movie of football hooligans? Green Street Hooligans. It's a really good movie, actually.
Anyone who thinks that fucking Frodo Baggins is a fucking football hooligan pin-up boy. I've been going to English football games all my fucking life. I'm going to a local derby match, actually. In fact, I turned down the opportunity to go to MLG Aspen because Birmingham City, who I don't support, but I live in the city, are playing West Brom. I'm going to that fucking game instead, and it's going to be great. I'll probably shave my head and
which
roll back the years.
If Audie's still in the chat, Audie, we beat Manchester City today. That's it.
Yeah, Odie is in the chat. He's been spamming over and over again. He's no longer allowed to talk in Twitch chat. I think he's trolling. I think it's an elaborate troll. But look, so I just want to point out, okay, that the...
I mean, Odin is a troll. Everybody knows that
he
Odin
is a
doesn't
troll.
actually own Dignitas. It's just a public scheme.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. I've suffered through it. It's not.
This crush that killed that killed the people in Shanghai was outside. It was in a square, a public town square. And you can see, I mean, I'll give a photo to Sam, actually. He can bring this up so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about here. Sam, I've just pasted it to you. It's an image from the BBC. And this was actually before the crush. So this gives you an idea of what we're looking at, what we're dealing with. Now, any crush, anything like that is fucking tragic. You know what happened, for example, at Hillsborough changed the way we attend football games in England forever, and we still live under that shadow, even though it's since been proven it was negligence and a huge cover up by the British government and British police force at the time. You know, we've proven this in court now. But to compare that to a stadium event, and I know Sam will. Yeah, here he goes. So you'll have already seen the picture. To compare what we're looking at and that particular crush to a stadium event, I know it seems a little bit overly precautious, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think there would necessarily be. Even if there was a pentakill, I don't think anyone would have died in the first week of LPL tapings, is what I'm saying. I guess we can leave it there, you know, but as there's an awkward silence again. But, you know, I mean, there's a hell of a difference to the, you know, to Chinese New Year's Eve celebrations, and, you know, as great as LPL is and is going to be, you know, I think it's interesting. We talked about how good the game was. I think we should draw attention to the Korean imports. I'll particularly point out, because I only saw a handful of the games, so did everyone else, actually. Spirit, Pawn, Imp, some of the Korean imports that really excelled in the opening LPL games. It's pretty much as we expected, actually, that the Koreans were going to go out and do particularly well and dominate in that region. And so far, I don't think there's been many notable players that didn't. I'm sure the chat will correct me if I'm wrong.
Danji and Mata.
Okay.
They're in the bottom of the table with Vitsi Gaming.
True, actually, I did even write down Dandy. I don't know why I didn't mention that, but okay, but
to be honest,
okay. Go on.
The best looking team in China right now, it's for me at least. From I didn't watch that much of the matches, but from looking at the results and one or two of their games, it's Onjit looks freaking amazing.
And here's the big talking point, and I made this a separate point, but the chat's already calling me a cunt and saying I should hang myself, so I better bring it up now. Is that obviously Looper? Wow, what the fuck happened? I'm in a private chat, which actually with several people, and they all watch the LPL together, and I've been really busy working on this CS:GO match fixing thing. And, you know, in this chat with these enthusiasts for the LPL League, it's like reading, you know, algebra. It doesn't really mean a lot to me. But everyone's been shook, I think, by how poorly Looper played. And certainly I know that this was discussed at length on the subreddit. So, Ram, I'll come back to you momentarily. Your thoughts about, you know, first of all, the people who played well and, you know, doing a great advertisement for Korean exports. But let's talk about Looper a little bit as well, and doing the exact fucking opposite.
I don't know, Kev. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I called you Kev. Maybe it took him some time.
I thought you said UKIP for a minute now. That's why I got really worried. I'm not being racist,
It's
bro.
a meme. It's like, I don't know, Kev. I don't know, Kev. Like, honestly, I don't know. Like, Looper was a good top laner when he was playing on Samsung White, but obviously that transition didn't work out so well. Whereas someone like Kakao, who wasn't basically known as, like, one of the best junglers in Korea, he's probably one of the better junglers who played, played fucking out. Okay, he wasn't. Okay, he didn't play. He wasn't considered as good as how he played. I thought he played out of his fucking mind in the games that Kakao played. Kakao and Rookie also looked really fucking good. Like Rookie looked really good. Spirit looked okay, but I will agree with you that Looper kind of looked like he shot the bed a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, like Kakao, like I didn't watch the matches, so I can't say how he played right now, but the statement, like Kakao was considered being close to Dandy's level in Korea. Like Monty said it, everyone that was discussing Kakao was the second best jungler in Korea, and the two of them were at least okay, not at least a level I can't commend that much, but they were noticeably better than most of the other junglers. Like everyone was saying how good Kakao is, and Kakao didn't need to go to Worlds to get picked up and paid all that huge salaries and everything in China. Like everyone expect, and the other thing is for the laners, like for the Whooper situation and everything, you don't know how a player in a lane is gonna perform without the jungler he's used to. Like sometimes it's the laner's fault how he performs, the other time is how the jungle helps the laner and how the pressure from the team on the other lanes in the jungle, etc., gives the space of the player to work with. It's really dependent on the things. And what if maybe Whooper was on the shot caller, he was told what to do in the game, where to go, how to play it, does he need to play defensive, etc. We don't know how was it behind the stage, let's say.
Okay.
Who was Looper's jungler? Like I only watched bits and pieces of the game. Like I saw moments where Looper just didn't perform well, but I don't distinctly remember. That's a big point.
Right.
Guys? Yeah, who was his jungler?
I'm here. I'm listening to you, and that's a big point. So
Who's his jungler? I'm asking who the player was.
I don't know. Let me check.
Ruo. There, someone in chat said it. Yeah, that's a big thing because like a lot of top laners they develop.
I called Doa DOA the other day and got crucified for it. So I just never want to speak again about anything I can't pronounce.
A lot of solo laners develop their style based on the type of jungler that they have, and if that changes and they don't adapt their style, they're going to perform poorly. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad solo laner by any means. It just means that they're so used to a specific style that they just refuse to adapt. Or they're not good at adapting, or they don't want to adapt. And it seems that that might just be the case of what... Because what made Looper really special was his large champion pool and the fact that he had, like, absolutely amazing teleports. Like, I think that's what Looper was well known for. And those things rely on having a solid team behind you to back you up to be able to play those different champions and actively abuse the fact that you have way better teleports than the other laner. So if you have a team that isn't used to that or doesn't know how to play or has a completely different play style or uses their top laner a different way, maybe he just hasn't adapted to that particular role yet.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I agree with what you're saying. There might be some room. I mean, look, we talked about it at length. People who know more about this particular region than I, and apparently it wasn't a particularly great preseason for him either. I don't know if this is the case of maybe some burnout or, like you say, maybe it is a settling issue. But you know, he's definitely going to be, or rather is so far. Some people are saying, you know, Looper played okay in some of the games. You know, I think he played a game on Singed, which that blew my mind. But I think we're expecting the same player who was like hands down the top lane great in the world. I don't know if that moment has maybe passed. You know, perhaps he had a, you know, perhaps the window in which that was true was, you know, inarguably gone. I don't know.
Or,
I mean,
or simply, sorry for interrupting you, but the other point you can have is what people feared is gonna happen with those players. Until now, they try harder. They won worlds. You've already achieved the maximum you can in the game and everything. Right now, you're getting paid a tons of money, literally a tons of money, and compare like some of the players in league right now. They need to play non-stop to be on their top shape. To play really a watt and a watt of hours. Whooper has already imagine Whooper being one of those players. He has achieved already everything, and at the same time he's getting paid really good money. He doesn't need to play as much as he used to, and yeah, that might be the effect of all that. It's a lot of small things at the end of the day. They just stack up, and
Yeah,
you
it
become a
definitely
different
makes a
player.
difference. There's no doubt about it. It definitely does make a difference. I absolutely agree. And one of the things we keep talking about is, how well are Koreans going to play outside of Korea? Certainly, they seem to have, or, if we take them as a collective group rather than individual, they seem to have adapted better to the LPL. And of course, LPL did by a better caliber of Korean anyway. But they seem to have adapted better to the LPL in general than they have other regions. But certainly, I thought Looper's underperformance was a huge talking point and a big surprise for me. As one person in the chat put it, I'll see if I can find his name. I'll just look for the cappers. There it is. It's Darude Saltstorm in chat said Looper has transformed into Pooper. That's
Wow.
that's how he put it. So there we
Okay.
are. Yeah,
Okay.
big meme.
I'm laughing at that fucking name. It's so brilliant.
What, Pooper? Or
No,
Darude
Darude
Saltstorm?
Saltstorm.
Hopefully, I'd love it if Looper acknowledged that he wasn't quite up to par and changed his name to Pooper for the next game.
Wow. No.
Imagine how good that'd be. He'd become my favorite player of all time. Would the question is, would Riot allow it? Probably not. If What the Fox isn't gonna pass.
A question. What do you guys think? Okay, the Koreans, we talked about it a little bit right now. What do you guys think about Vasily's performance?
Ram, you need to be the guy. I can't talk about performances really, apart from saying good or bad, because everyone just goes, "You don't even know the game. You're in gold."
I have not yet managed to get to that VOD. I didn't catch Vasily's game.
I'll tell you, he picked up Lucian. He picked up Lucian against Leona Corki.
Okay.
He had Annie for support, and he went 1-7 or 1-8, something like this.
That does sound like something Vasily would do with Lucian on an Annie support. Yeah, I did manage to catch that game. But I heard it wasn't very pretty. That lane matchup already sounds super toxic for a fucking Lucian Annie. So, did he try to go aggressive and die? That might just what have happened.
A couple of times he overextended and the jungler came and snowballed the bot lane. But his positioning was completely off. He was over aggressing, going in fights he didn't need to, etc., etc. He didn't look anything compared to the Vasily we know from before. Nothing compared to him. At least in that WAS game I watched.
That's a player I think though that we should probably give some special dispensation for. He's been through the ringer, dude. The emotional turmoil and the uncertainty that's surrounded, his career. If we were to just measure the last 6 months, or even less.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but he's playing with literally the MVP of Worlds.
Yeah.
MVP of Worlds. He's playing with Mata as support and Dandy as jungler.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have excuse to be like this. Okay, all the motivational and everything, yes, at some point, but come on, you're playing with Mata and Dandy. Which player won't be super motivated and ready to play with those two players? Literally, MVP and the runner-up for the MVP at Worlds, the two best players in the world for 2014.
No, I absolutely get it. I'm just saying, we know this guy has had massive problems in the team. We know LMQ was an absolute clusterfuck. I mean, the degree to which that team was a clusterfuck hasn't been made public. I'm getting a little bit impatient actually on that story coming out, and I think because I've got several pieces of information about that I haven't turned into stories yet. I think I might. I think we're all just sat there waiting for them to do the right thing and just let's cooperate and tell the full fucking story.
I have to be right back. I'll just
Yeah, no, that's fine. We all, your bladder gets weak when you get to his age. But he's
not
had,
only
he's
from
had
the age.
exactly. But he's had family problems. We saw how emotional he got right at the end of the LMQ experience. I just think we should probably give. That's one guy I wouldn't be too critical of. I think he's going to get there. I think he's going to find his level.
Yeah, I love the guy and his appearance and everything around him, but he just underperformed totally bad. And to be honest, I don't know. And they have the coaches from Samsung too, if I'm not wrong.
So while Ram's fucked off, I'm hoping to have a piss. I mean, or probably he's get a sandwich. Right? You can never tell with him. It's always one of the two.
Kebab.
Yeah, or a kebab. I wasn't going to say that in case I got banned for being toxic from my own show. I thought I'd ask you just a little bit about Origen because I've heard they've started scrimming with LCS teams. And you're an LCS, team. You're an LCS manager, and you're someone who knows the scene very intimately. What can you tell us about that? That was, a few of the fans wanted to know how Origen were getting on.
I think quite good. Like they've made really good impression, and I don't think anyone at this point, at least, doubts that they're going to be the number team outside of the LCS. I think their qualification for LCS right now is just a technicality. Like I don't see any other team being even close to their level. My only concern is they've been playing non-stop versus challenger teams, etc. So
that's what I mean. I heard they've arranged some LCS scrims now. Is that true?
Yeah, they've played, yes. And from at least what I've seen, they've been playing already and scrimming and practicing, and it's obvious they're gonna scrim the LCS teams, not the challenger teams. But still, the level in the challenger, I'm not sure how it is right now. I haven't watched any of the challenger matches, sadly. Haven't had the time to.
Talking about EU Challenger?
No, we're talking about Origin, which is EU Challenger. Yeah. So I think they might decade a little bit with the time because they play the challenger matches and how serious they're gonna get it. But I don't see them being anything different but number one and just getting the direct spot in the LCS.
Well,
okay. Go on, Ram.
Origen as a team play really, really well in like the first 15 minutes of the game. They're dominating across the map. Their only issue is that it seems that it takes them absolutely painfully long to close out games. Now, I don't know if that's them try-harding or not caring much in the ranked 5s, which I don't blame them because it's fucking ranked 5s.
Doesn't sound anything like gamers too.
Wait, what?
Well, fuck, man. I do you not remember the fucking games that they had? If they didn't get blown away, they went on for fucking ever. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, even if Origen does win lane early, it seems that their vision control and the decision making towards the mid-late game aren't there. And again, it's hard because the sample size that we're given is just ranked 5s. And I was watching them extensively throughout their climb. I was even casting a bunch of their games. In watching them play, it was something that was consistently happening throughout multiple games. So if they really turned the gas on, it wasn't apparent there. So I hope with a good coaching staff, they'll be able to fix these issues because the mechanics and the talent in the team is definitely there. And the potential for huge growth is absolutely there with Svenel and Niels in the AD carry position. But what's apparent is that they're a team that will stomp lane. And in Challenger, unfortunately, that's all you really need. Is to just stomp lane. Unless another EU Challenger team gets a good coaching staff and they learn to exploit the weaknesses that Origen have showed, I don't see Origen taking anything but first place.
Yeah, but I don't see even if any other team gets coaching stuff and everything. Origin is just moving into their house. They're getting people to work with them, etc. I don't see anyone even touching Origin unless some super talents from solo queue come out and do something. And again, the one experience, the simply how experienced the five players on the four main players on that team are, and then you have the talent in Neos and everything. I don't see anyone competing with Origin. I think even when they join LCS, they're going to be a top 5 team in LCS easily, if not even contender.
I don't know if I'd go as far as contender, but I think they got no worries about getting fucking relegated. Let's put it that way. I think they're going to be very comfortably mid-table, and I certainly hope that any personal differences that may have existed amongst a couple of the players that played before have eliminated themselves.
Let's talk a little bit about EU Challenger, because right now, the way that I feel, like, even though Fnatic just recently picked up a new academy team, they call it Fnatic Academy, with the old Platinum Rush roster, they have, like, Crikey, I think it was Crikey, they have Avenue in the mid laner, Kex in the top laner. I only feel that there's really 4 real relevant teams in EU Challenger, one of them obviously being Origen, the other being Gamers 2 with Perks and Kobe. Team Nevo, which is a new team built by Julius and his 4 clones. So it's Julius.
It's Julius.
No, it's Smitty J, Julius, Ica, Jeebus, and Hiva. Then there's also Julius. And then there's SK Prime, who have Beanzu.
And don't forget Julius.
Yeah, Julius. Beanzu, Julius, Senkux, Crazy Caps, Julius, and Zaitan.
And Julius.
And like these teams, like. It's Origin. The way that feels like is Origin, and then these 3 teams. Like the other person joining Origin, the LCS, could be any one of these 3 teams. I think all of them have the equal opportunity to make it to LCS, and they're quite good. Like SKP picking up Obvious, who is I feel is a really unspoken or underrated jungler in Challenger. I actually thought he was the 2nd best jungler in the expansion tournament, or maybe close to being on level with Lulex. A shame that he didn't manage to get in. I thought he was really good for End Faculty, but now I guess he's on SKP. That's a really good pickup. Like, he's definitely someone that people should be watching for. I know not many people care about the EU Challenger scene, or some people do, and they don't have the info for it, but like those are the teams to look out for. Nevo, Julius, SKP, Gamers 2, and Julius.
So, yeah, but here's the thing, right? This Fnatic Academy team, they're not very good, are they?
I don't rate them. I don't rate them very high.
I mean, here's why I feel comfortable saying that. I obviously, while I can't analyze the game, obviously, because I'm only gold, and that's a rule that's been dictated by the League of Legends community. Although, actually, I did grind my way to plat recently with Sam, but we don't talk about that because it hasn't been particularly pleasant, and we will never stream those games ever. Ever. I mean, ever. Well, we never have a job again, actually. Sam goes on fucking tilt. The things he says. Sam, they're shocking, mate. They are really shocking.
No
dude.
way. As if I'm getting called out by biggest flamer troll 2K15.
Just because I got a 1200 match chat restriction doesn't mean that I'm toxic, bro.
If you get banned for 1.2 games.
No.
Speaking of chat restriction, I am completely free of chat restrictions, and I even played a game on top of that to see if I would get more. None. Absolutely none. I am so happy to
put it that way, boys.
Chat restriction.
I have never even received a message about being reported.
Yeah. I'm reporting you the next time we play.
Yeah. I swear to God, I wish I was in your fucking elo, bro. I'd fuck you up. Just report you after the game. Like, you're getting that warning.
I'm in plot 5 and I can't get up right now. I'm waiting for the new season.
You can't get it up? You can't get it up? That seems to be...
Wow.
But just to put it in context, Sam, what was it you said to that last guy, that really bad jungler we had?
Nothing? I can't believe you're actually trying to pin this on me. Luckily, I have these screenshots.
Can we get a quote of what you said?
Yeah, I like it. Blackmail people at all times. Like, I'm pretty sure you did say to some dude like you had learning difficulties.
No? What? This is bullshit.
Okay, I guess we're not ready for the look.
I wanna see the screenshot.
The one thing that I've ever said to a guy was I said, I hope you never have kids so they don't get to see how much of a failure their father is. That's the worst thing I've ever said. And that's just because he was a shit talking all game, and then I won. I carried him. I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy in particular.
Just so you know, next week we've got Nick Allen coming on the show, and we're gonna go over both of our accounts.
And we're gonna abuse him.
Okay, I think that's probably the best thing I've ever fucking heard. I think another thing I heard was there was this guy who trolled throughout the entire game, shit talk, but in the post game stream is like, I didn't do anything wrong, guys. It's a mistake. And I think someone on my team said, no, the only mistake was your mom not swallowing after your dad fucked her. I think that was one of the best things I've ever fucking heard.
Should be choking. But yeah, whatever. Anyways,
And surrender.
boys, I have schedule to follow with the team, and I need to run out.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna kill the show right now. We're gonna end it. But all I was gonna say was, here's how I know the Fnatic team aren't particularly good, because players tell me about good players and they give me their names. I haven't heard a single fucking one of them. So yeah, I think it's just a billboard exercise for Fnatic. I think it's just we'll just slap our name on another team, get some brand awareness. I think they're gonna suck balls.
It's also good to give the challenger team some sort of infrastructure and a good organization backing. I think it's a good start. Because if you notice, one thing that all these 5 teams have in common, they've got a reliable organization behind them. Well, I don't really know much about Nevo, but I'm not going to go out and say that they're a reliable organization. But like, it looks like the teams are finally starting to get these reliable organizations behind them, and while Fnatic Academy might not be getting hundreds and thousands of dollars, they've at least got some sort of infrastructure, and if they need like a coaching staff, I'm pretty sure it can be accommodated for them, kind of like how SK Gaming would give their Prime team a coaching staff.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't compare those sister teams to anything that Korea does or Curse had, for example, in there. Like, I know almost for certain is SK and SK Prime never practiced with each other.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to, but like taking care of your challenger team is a big deal, because when I was on SK Prime, it felt like I was part of a huge organization, like a good organization. And I felt like there was proper backing there.
It's good for the challenger team, for the second team and everything. It's perfect. But I mean, I just want to underline that it's nothing compared with the sister teams you had in Korea.
We're not there yet, but it's a good start to develop the challenger scene even more. And I think
Fair enough.
C9's acquisition of a challenger team, CLB's public acquisition of a challenger team, and this Fnatic new team is a good step in the right direction. And I hope
Team Liquid just picked up a second team.
Well.
Yeah, so it's good. It's helping the scene.
Yeah, Liquid 112 has always been kind of a guy who's done that. And look what happened. Like, one of his teams, challenger teams, actually made it into the LCS. Like, that's what could happen sooner or later. Like, these academy teams end up being really fucking good, and then they actually take the next step and make it into the LCS.
Right, so look, let's just do the last topic. Summoning Insight's going to be out in about, 2 hours or something? Maybe 90 minutes. So let's do the very final topic, and then everyone can, masturbate furiously for an hour between League of Legends shows. This is the last topic. I don't know if people remember, but there was an internal source in Riot told me that they're kind of not particularly pleased with some of the talk shows that exist. First Blood, Summoning Insight were the 2 that were given to me by name. And they said at that point, they were like, we can't have these people talking about our game, our league. They don't necessarily represent it and do it justice. So we need to create a show that blows it out the water, right? I got caught talking about this with some of my friends on Twitch chat. And one quote got took out of context, as it very often does. It got posted to the front page of the subreddit. I don't really mind. Whoever did that, though, kind of a little bit sad. I would have happily, if someone asked me, given a comment about it, and it would have been a bit more detailed. Anyway, a lot of people thought that horrible kids riot show that went out there was the show, where it was, I don't know, some fake laugh just looped over and over again while they talked about who their favorite champ was or whatever the fuck. I didn't really watch it. It just made me nauseous. But they've announced the actual show that they were talking about, and that's Primetime League. It describes itself. This is very interesting. So it's going to be hosted by Jat and Riv. Primetime League offers an inside look at the professional League of Legends scene. okay? Entertaining you with an attitude that's as irreverent as it is informative. Now, I'm going to read you the dictionary definition of the word irreverent. Irreverent is showing a lack of respect for people or things that are generally taken seriously. So it kind of sounds like what we're doing a lot of the time.
Richard, have you thought about that show being a small update of last year's pre-game day shows? From what I understand, from what I see, from what I've heard in general, that show might be just a version, different name of the show they had last year before the games. Just observation, what happened, and a news show giving you the information, what happened, and general talks about the news.
I have no issue with that at all. It seems obviously
if it's that kind of show, Richard, it's completely different than what we do right now.
It's always going to be different to what we do, and that's kind of the point I was driving at, is that the idea that they're ever going to do anything truly irreverent, that they're going to mock their own format or league or the teams within it. When they've just held a big meeting about, hey guys, let's all work together with the organizations. They're absolutely not going to be irreverent at all. Certainly not by any definition that we would measure the word irreverent by. But I think it's interesting they're moving into this kind of, talk show territory, and they're really trying to sell it as such, as the thing that exists. I think it would be great, actually, if Riot were just a little bit willing to maybe bring in people that were dissenting voices, that did operate a little bit nearer the knuckle, like most esports companies do. I think this has the potential to be a good show. But then I go on to the next bit where it says, you'll also hear from our cast of global correspondents. Now, a correspondent, typically when you see that word used in a broadcasting context, we're talking about journalists. And it says, ranging from pastry time, someone we employ, to shocks, someone we employ. So it's not really a cast of global correspondents, it's a cast of Riot employees.
Well, they can't really control correspondence, can they?
Yeah, but this is the point. Why does it need to be controlled?
I was making a joke, dude.
Yeah, I know. But if it's irreverent, if it's meant to be irreverent, what's the harm in having a Thorin on there?
Absolutely nothing. Like, every show needs a Thorin. Like, this show would be much better if Thorin hosted it.
I've heard that. I've heard that before. But just imagine it, like, can you imagine on an official LCS broadcast, they're like, Riot, Thorin, you're the official League of Legends historian. This is Riot asking you what you think about this particular topic. And Thorin goes, yeah, as much as you like to hype this particular player, he's pretty bad, though. And I'm sure Thorin, I know Duncan, I've worked with Duncan on broadcasts. This idea that Duncan's some wild, rampaging beast that can't turn down himself to like 8 from 10 is ridiculous. It just makes me a little bit sad, actually, because I think this is going to have incredibly high production values, but I think it's going to be a massive undersell.
I think Riot are just really afraid of something like them talking about, like, yeah, I don't think that game was very good. It's like, you know what else sucks? Poland. Like, they're afraid that Thor might do something like that. Like,
these are memes in and of themselves.
No, but it's like, if it's gonna be a Riot sanctioned show, it can't be irreverent or whatever that word was. I don't fucking know. It can't have a level of disrespect or banter in it as much as our shows can. And like, it'll never be the same. The production value can be good. It can be informative to the analytical level. It can be very good, but it won't be the same show.
But here's the problem. How informative can it be, Ram, when we live in a world where we cannot call players bad? I believe the word I'm looking for is checkmate.
I believe the word I'm looking for.
You can't be analytical.
No, I don't know, dude.
You can't be analytical because they won't. They're saying we're going to be irreverent. I don't know, right? I will let the fans of First Blood dictate a forfeit if they say anything about a player actually being bad, like actually saying this player sucked. I'll even say it there. Riot, say this. Player X, it can be any player, whichever player sucks, in that particular, after that first week, or if a player has sucked in preseason, whatever it is for the first show, if you actually say a player has sucked between any of you, and I know you watch these VODs, by the way, I get messaged by Riot employees, can you do timestamps? Yeah, I wonder why that is. Right? But please, say a player sucks. Just try it, try it. It happens in real sports. No one kills themselves. The world doesn't come in on itself. Just say that a player sucked when he sucked. If you say that, I'll let the fans of First Blood dictate an appropriate forfeit, which I'm willing to do, because it will show that you're finally adult enough to accept that criticism.
They did last year in one of the shows. They said Taps sucked the last weeks.
Well,
and then apologize the next show.
Yeah, and then apologize.
The unicorns and everything.
Well, that's it, guys. We're done. First Blood's over. Poland wins this time. I'm out.
Yeah, and already people are saying we want the forfeit to be you give Brokenshard head on air, which I don't know if you know, it's actually against Twitch's rules. But anyway, so look, a lot of people have implied that, Riot releasing their own show will kill this show. It never will. As you can see, we do things our own way. Today's been a bit slipshod and clusterfucky, but that's the way we like it, and it'll always be like that. It's never going to change. We're hoping to get Nintendo, who is currently doing the rotator. So this is how Sam's amusing himself. We're hoping that we're going to have Josh back. As you know, he was subject to a health scare recently, and we gave him as much time off as he needed to recover. All that remains for me to say as we wrap up the show is, once again, thanks to Tommy, the absolute boy. Happy birthday. Another year older, another year wiser. And I wish you and
I'm not sure for the wiser.
Dude, it's been said now. You are the smartest coach in the world, apparently. So you wear that crown. But all the best to Roccat. Your players are always super awesome to have on the show. Super professional. We hope you do really well in the league. Give my best to the boys, like, all of the other guys that came on, Pr0lly, because we don't know where the fuck he went. He turned into Nintendo dude halfway through. All of the SK guys. Thanks to Ram, as always. Yeah, yeah,
Roccat guys, come on now.
No. Because they had some of the SK people hovering around.
We had
in the background. Yeah, there you go.
He doesn't really.
But seriously, it was great to get you on the show. Ram, you're a pretty good co-host. You're not bad. You're a better co-host than a jungler. Put it that way.
Remember to include me in the tweet next time, you fucking bellend.
Oh yeah, I know, what an asshole. Thanks to Sam for doing the show while he was hungover on a fucking Sunday. By the way, he is super toxic in solo queue. And to all the people in tune, Sam, you are fucking so bad.
Send the screenshots, bitch. Bring the evidence.
Before we end, can we just get one last hand of applause for Sam for doing the show hungover? He gives us that hashtag production value. Just get some claps out there for you. I'll even start the chant. Get the clap us.
I was going to say get the clap out for him. His mother's already. Oh god, this.
Let's end this shit show.
Let's just end it. Let's just kill it, man. Let's just kill the show. Anyway, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks to all the people who joined in through Twitter and created our memes. Next week, we're hoping to get Nintendo back. We hope you're going to join us. We should be back on Wednesday. Thanks to all of the guests, all the people who ask questions. I'm going to fuck off and get wasted because I'm a miserable, drunken asshole. And we'll see you next time on First Blood. Peace.